Well, oh, well, here we are on a Sunday of all days streaming because it is the College Football Playoff Selection Show. I'm joined today by Drew England, Jay of Unfair Sports, and Zach Merrill. Guys, want to let y'all each get an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell the people where they can find all of your great content. And I'm just going to go straight down the line. We'll go Drew, Jay, and then Zach. So, Drew, where can the people find your content, man? You
Drew,
there,
did we
Drew?
miss you?
Oh yeah, sorry. This is my name is Drew England. I am the Under Official Review podcast. Me and my buddy Zach down here we do a podcast, college football podcast, each and every week. We talk about college football across the board, rankings, games, all that good stuff. And today is probably the most exciting day out of any college football fan, whether your team is, you know, in the four or not. It's still fun to see and debate and do all that stuff. So I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jay, how you doing today, man?
Man, I am fantastic. I love when we unveil the college football playoff team so everyone can complain endlessly for like the next 6 weeks, and then we get to watch a couple of teams get blown out, and then we have an interesting title game. But you can find me over at Unfair Sports on the YouTube channel where I talk OU football, college football, and then on the podcast, Unfair Sports, wherever podcasts are downloaded and listen to, we talk sports in general. So, Ty, always a pleasure being on here. We can have a fun debate.
Oh, always, man. You know me. College football debates. I love to have them, and I love this panel in specific because specifically Drew. Drew will debate with me. That's why I always love having him on. It's the best. Zach, first time on the show, definitely won't be the last time on the show. Where can the people find all your content?
Well, same thing as Drew, man. Me and Drew are co-hosts on the Unofficial Review podcast. So really just kind of getting started. You know, we had the Boomer, the Buckeye, and the Plainsman last year and kind of transitioned to a new podcast this year because we lost our former guy named Matt Lane. So, yeah, man, really excited to be on here and debate college football because not only will Drew debate you, but Zach Merrill will debate you too, man.
That's
So
the
it'll be fun.
best. It's the best.
Zach, when all hope was lost, he sees a glimmer now of hope, and his Buckeyes maybe getting in the top four. So
I don't see there's a way they don't. But before we really get into this, we're going to be keeping up with this live reaction. And as this is being unveiled, we're going to be talking about the games that happened yesterday. Guys, if you're trickling in here, hit the comments up. Let us know what you thought. Be sure to hit that like button and be sure to check out all these guys' content. They do great stuff. I'm on Zach and Drew's show anytime I can. Love being on there. Love that these guys are on. And Zach, I don't know what you're doing tomorrow night, man, but we'll be live streaming again tomorrow night. And if you can join us, love to have you. Let's get to some comments real quick. Sean says, does TCU still have a shot there? Legit. And we were debating this before because I feel like I'm in between a rock and a hard place. Personally, I feel like Alabama on a neutral site would beat TCU in a neutral site game. But I'm also a proponent of the 4-team playoff system. And I don't feel like I can hold those two ideologies of Alabama deserving to make the college football playoff and being a proponent of the playoff system. I don't think those ideologies exist in the same world because in order for me to like the 4 playoff system, I have to give credence to regular season games. Bama has 2 losses. So yeah, I think the question is who would you pick? And do you take the 4 best or the 4 most deserving? And even at best, I think we have a bit of a conversation. Ron says his is Georgia 1, Michigan 2, TCU at 3, Ohio State at 4. I can see that one. I can easily see that one.
Let me interject on that one, Ty. I agree with you 100% on that portion. I'm a proponent of if we're going to follow it all year, let's follow it all year and try to give the I guess the cadence to if you have so many losses, it kind of pushes you down the line because regardless, a lot of these teams would be dogs in games against teams that they probably shouldn't be. Like Texas would be favored in probably 3 of the games, 3 of the 4. Probably Georgia's probably the only one that they wouldn't be favored in, or they'd be close as far as the spread goes with like Ohio State and Michigan. So I don't want to Vegas understand that weird things happen, and so sometimes it's tough to really rely on that because I mean, for example, when LSU and Tennessee were both big dogs against Alabama in their wins against them, it happens. It's college football. Weird things are going to go down, and so I do believe that in this one with the TCU piece, they beat Kansas State in the beginning of the season, and then they lost to them in the championship game in overtime in a field goal. I don't see a reason why they should not be in. And I'll say it because of this. Everybody's argument against TCU is, oh, well, they lost to a backup quarterback. Did y'all not forget that Max Duggins was the backup quarterback this season for TCU as well?
Mm.
Like,
So that's a fair point.
He only got propelled because Chandler Morris got hurt.
Yeah.
So when Chandler got hurt, he brought him in. Max kept doing good, so they kept him. So technically, it was two backup quarterbacks against each other.
Well,
So what's the
and
argument?
what a lot of people would say too is they could use the argument that Max Duggan has been a starting quarterback before, and so he's not really a backup quarterback. That's some people's
So
debate.
did,
That's not
so
mine.
did Howard.
Yes,
Howard.
and
Howard started
absolutely.
10 games last season. He
Yeah,
lost
that's
his
what I've
because
heard
Adrian
though
transferred in.
through just reading people's threads and stuff like that on Twitter and all that. They're using those arguments, and you can, like you just said, you can use Will Howard's just the same. So
Exactly. So
Yeah.
all the arguments that the true arguments against TCU are null and void.
Yeah. Well, I
Everything
think that-
has a replacement you can do easily.
Well, and I think based on the college football committee, they said that playing in a championship game does matter, and having that game shouldn't affect you unless I guess maybe there's a blowout or something like that. But I don't think you penalize TCU for going in there and playing a really hard fought game and ended up losing. But the case that they have is they did beat the Big 12 champions. So I say put TCU in there. I think they're deserving. But are they one of the best 4 teams? Now that's, maybe a different story, but I'd love to see maybe like a play-in game or something like that, maybe in the future if you have, but now we're going to have the 12-team playoff. But wouldn't it be fun to have an Alabama TCU play-in game? That'd be great.
That would be fun. That would
Yeah,
be
that
fun. I
would
want to address this right here. He says, hey, fella, I've seen Saban begging the committee to get into the college football. And I've seen this take a lot. But, guys, that's his job. Like, he is an advocate for Alabama
He gets
football.
a bonus if they make the playoffs.
So, like, his job is to advocate for his athletes. Any coach that doesn't have, like, any sort of conversation that's not advocating, I'm not saying they're not doing their job, but, like, I don't look at coaches like any type of way if they're advocating for their people, right? Like that's something.
Well,
I know how it
that's
seems.
your job. You have to. You're not going to come out and tell your team, "Oh no, we don't deserve it." You're not going to hear any head coach that's going to say, "Oh no, we got 2 losses, we shouldn't have lost." But yeah, I don't think we're a playoff caliber team. You're never going to hear, especially Nick Saban, come out and say that. But yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to do for his team and trying to get him in the playoffs.
I think the toughest thing for me is, and Ty, I know you're going to hate me saying this, but Alabama last year, Alabama with a couple different weapons for wide receivers. I'd probably argue a little bit more for Alabama this year getting in the playoffs, but they just don't have the weapons that they used to have in the past. I mean, on the outside, man, they just they got Jahmyr Gibbs, they got the best quarterback in college football, and Bryce Young, all around top performer, but they don't have the Williams or the Mechis. I mean, shoot, they don't even have Slade Bolden, man. So they're really struggling from the outside. So I would make an argument for Alabama, but TCU, they got Quentin Johnson. They got some guys that can threaten people, man.
So there's a name, and I can't in good conscience give you this name as an argument, right? So I'm just going to give you a name, but I'm not going to give you this name as like a proof. Does that make sense in how I'm prefacing this?
Yeah.
Tyler Harrell transferred in from Louisville, and this dude has got legit track speed. Been dealing with a little bit of an injury, was finally able to really get some play. I think his first reception against Auburn, he's finally healthy. He has got legit track speed, but I'm not using him as an argument because I can't tell you we'd beat a team with a guy with 1 reception, even if he's Usain Bolt. That's not how college football works. I think here's my argument for Alabama. Anytime, I think if we're saying a neutral site game, TCU versus Alabama, I'd pick Alabama to win that game. Here's my other issue with Alabama. You want to know who Alabama's biggest opponent has been all year?
Themselves.
Alabama.
Yeah.
If you play Georgia and you have 17 penalties like you did against Tennessee, they will drag you. They will hurt you. This is what's so tough. And I do lean a little bit more towards, hey, I think TCU should get the nod because I like I've said for the 3rd time, I cannot in good faith be a proponent of the 4-team system and then say, hey, regular season games don't matter. Those two ideologies cannot coexist. So very, very interested. Very, very interested. Now, guys, before we really dive into this, let's talk about some of these games, all right? Let's talk about some of these games, specifically Big 12 championship, where I think a lot of people thought TCU was going to take that game, especially how they drummed Iowa State the week before. Drew, I want to start with you, man. What was your thoughts watching this game? I know we kind of lightly prefaced it, but now I kind of want to take a dive.
Yeah, well, so I was I had an awesome opportunity to do the color commentary for all the state high school championships football games in Oklahoma, up in Edmond for the Sports Animal here in Tulsa. Work with them part time, and so we had it on the iPad while we were calling one of the games, and I was, I had picked Kansas State to win that game because I thought that they were a tough team. They're gritty, they're well coached. So, and I was here for the upsets. I was here for the chaos. So that's another reason I picked them and Utah, because obvious reasons there. But man, it was physical. And Max Duggan, say what you want about him, but man, he left it out there on the field. That dude was doing everything he could to will his team to a win. And just when you thought TCU was going to pull away, Kansas State kept responding. It was a back and forth slugfest. And then, Kansas State had a few stops that they needed, especially there at the overtime period, and was able to kick an easy field goal to win the game. But man, I expected it to be a physical game. My head was telling me that TCU was going to win, but I really wanted Kansas State to win just because, I'm here for the upsets and for the underdogs. So it was a great game, though.
Yeah, Jay, what were you thinking?
Yeah, it's probably one of the games of the year. How's my volume? Am I better now? I know I was a little bit low a minute ago. I had to perfect. Yeah, it sounded like for some reason probably one of my kids touched something. But anyway, I thought this was one of the best games of the weekend, of the championship weekend. TCU did fight. Max Duggan was out there. He was doing his thing. Saw him out there scrambling. He was launching passes. Everything about the game was fun. But then they met Deuce Vaughn, and that dude is just a monster. I saw a tweet during the game was like, how frustrated do you think these defensive linemen are having to reach down to tackle Deuce Vaughn? And yeah, you have to reach low to get a hold of that dude, and he just slipped right past you. It was freaking amazing. But no, it was a great game. Real low. Like, I mean, he's little, and it's funny how Kansas State always finds those. They got a ton of them from Tulsa, the Lockett boys. So it's just fascinating how they always find these little dudes or whatnot. But anyway, great game. I thought it was. I did not feel like it was an indictment on TCU. It was a hard fought battle, and both teams knew each other. They were prepared. You can see that both teams were prepared for this game, and it was just punch after counterpunch and counterpunch, and just whoever's jaw finally gave out, and basically it was TCU's on that 1 yard not dive at the goal line. Why didn't they just dive over the top? I would have tried to dive over the top personally. Make them pick me up mid-air.
Well, they didn't have Bo Jackson, so they couldn't really dive over the top.
Touche. That's a good point. That's a good point. But man, as good as their running backs are, they could have just at least tried. I mean, I would have just tried. I think that was my point.
Well,
try to dive over the top.
You literally had to pick Max Duggan up off that field because he was just exhausted and
he was in pain.
Yeah, and so
he took some shots.
Yeah.
He was in pain like Caleb was in that USC game. They got him. They kept leveling him to try to get him out the game.
Here they come.
Caleb Williams loves that limp walk.
Yeah, he does. No surprise, Georgia's #1. Shocker. Breaking news.
Hey, don't break it to me yet, man, because your TV's a little faster than me.
Are you on commercial, Zach?
No, I'm not. Are you?
I'm on commercial.
Oh, I'm not. I'm actually watching it, and I'm on stream. So
Drew, y'all better don't say nothing yet.
I won't. Get your game up. Breaking news, shocking. Georgia's #1. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, we all knew that was gonna happen.
In fairness, I don't feel like that's the big spoiler.
Yeah.
Right?
#2 is also not a spoiler.
Drew, no wows.
2 undefeateds.
Yeah,
the first 2 undefeated teams. So that's part of the course. We'll keep it quiet on the other 2 though, because that's what I'm ready to see.
I'll put you guys on mute for a second, man.
I want to see who they screw.
Yeah. Don't do anything, Jay. Just
I won't. I'm actually gonna make a graphic and I'll make a graphic and I'm going to
Yeah, I think I'm at the same point of view. Zach, where are you at?
I'm waiting for the number 3.
Yep. Okay. I
Yeah,
think we're
all
all
right,
around the
all
same.
right,
Don't say
we're-
nothing, man, because y'all are a second ahead of me.
I won't say a word. I'm not even gonna make a facial expression.
I won't either.
Chat, who's number 3?
Yep. No, I think nobody's let me see. Everybody's kind of quiet. Everybody's
Chat,
quiet.
who do y'all think is going to be at number 3?
Yeah, chat. Yeah. Everybody listening, let us know who y'all think the third team's gonna be. Because I'm kind of curious of what everybody's predictions are gonna be.
Yeah.
I won't make any facial expressions.
JTG or GTG Max Duggan was on fire, man. He did a heck of a job in that.
Right. Why don't they do a sneak? Have Duggins dive across the top and at least just get across the pylon. All you got to do is get across the line. That's all you got to do.
Everybody's saying
That's all you're looking for.
TCU in the
Everybody's thinking TCU. Okay, that's fair. I'm glad that everybody believes that.
yeah.
I think
Zach, are you
Jerry
caught
has
up?
the right answer. Jerry says Auburn. He says Auburn.
Yeah.
Everyone loves attacking Ty. I
everybody
love
caught
it.
up?
I love it.
I'm caught up. Zach, you
I'm
caught up? Good.
Zach, are you caught up? I don't know if he
I
can
don't
hear
know.
us.
I don't know if he can hear us right now.
He muted us.
Zach, did you mute us?
He
I think
did.
He muted us. Oh well.
Anyway,
Oh.
TCU got it. Yes.
Yeah, TCU
We're for
at
it.
number 4. So
Number 4 is Ohio State.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Probably.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
think
there
this is
no
the fairest.
Probably. Yeah. That's the ranking. That's the ranking. Interesting.
Yep. The rankings are going to be standings. I think that's what will bother a lot of people is that
Zach,
it's
can you hear us?
standings.
What?
Okay.
You
he's
back?
here. Now you.
I haven't seen number 4 yet, man.
Okay.
No, neither have we.
Neither
We're
have
waiting.
we.
We're waiting on
You
that
just
too.
made sure
So
that you saw number 3.
So, Zach, in fairness, brother, I don't think it matters because if TCU's number 3, y'all are the only other team. Like, if
With
you
one
get what I
loss.
mean, like,
We'll see. We'll see.
I
no, it
can't-
only makes sense.
There's no
like
scenario.
there's no scenario that anybody would jump Ohio State because Ohio State's only loss was to the number 2 team in the country.
Neither team played.
Guys, the disappointing thing for me was I wanted TCU to get blown out yesterday because I wanted to play Michigan.
No,
first round.
you don't get that. You don't get that pleasure. I've been wanting that for years. Every time there's 2 SEC teams, I want them playing in the first round. We don't ever get that. So you don't get it. So who you get? You get to get Georgia. And you beat Georgia, you get Michigan. You get to suffer like the rest of us. And number 4 has been unveiled. We get to suffer. You get to suffer like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Sean has
But that's the thing that-
great bowl game right here. Sorry to cut you off. I'm
go ahead.
interested in, Sean says, let's get Bama versus Utah. That would be
Oh, man.
That
Ooh,
would be a great bowl game, Sean.
that would be. Would that be Sugar Bowl?
That would, I think
Yeah.
so. That
That would be Sugar
great-
Bowl.
That would
be
a heck
Sugar
of a
Bowl.
matchup. I would love to see that one. If I
No
was
lie,
just a
I'm-
Hit the nail
fan-
on the head.
if I was just a college football fan and I had the opportunity to go to that game and watch it, that would be a heck of a matchup right there.
Yeah, I may have to
teams
make a trip to New Orleans for that game. I might do that.
that'd be a fun matchup.
Well, hey guys, I'm about 3 hours from the ATL, so it looks like I might be driving down to Atlanta to watch this Peach Bowl.
Hey, you got.
I don't think you're going to be playing in the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, we
Oh,
are.
you know, you will be. I'm sorry, you will be. Yeah, you're right. Because Georgia's going to definitely pick up the street for them.
Home
Well,
field
Michigan and
I mean,
TCU is going to be traveling across the country to Arizona. Ew.
Oh, okay. Apparently Utah is already in the Rose Bowl. So yeah, all right.
Oh yeah, Utah's playing against who's that?
State.
Penn State.
Yeah.
So, Ty, I'll ask you. What do
Yes,
you
sir.
think? What would be other than obviously the matchup with Utah you talked about, but what other matchup would you like to see Bama play in?
Man, there's a few.
What about Alabama and USC? Oh, they're in the Rose Bowl, aren't they?
USC.
No,
No, they
no,
won't.
Utah's in the Rose Bowl.
So it could
USC
be
would get
USC and
would get
Alabama.
absolutely bum rushed, dude.
I think that USC versus Bama would be very interesting. I think that'd be very compelling.
Bama would blow USC out of the water.
And Drew, in fairness, man, chat is absolutely loving that recommendation. A lot of people echoing that. Robert says Bama versus Kansas State. That would be interesting, but I think the USC one personally is a bit more compelling.
I think Alabama would win that one.
Can we get a Bama?
You mean
versus-
Nick
versus-
Saban's going to beat Lincoln Riley again?
No, I'm talking about the Bama, Kansas State. Somebody.
Yeah, can we
said.
get a Bama versus
Bama,
Clemson? I just said that.
A
Bama versus
rematch.
Clemson.
Zach, that's a great
rematch
one.
with not so much on the line.
No, so far what I've seen is going to be an all Orange Bowl, which annoys me because that's a long travel. If I decide to go watch Tennessee play, it'd be Tennessee versus Clemson. I really don't want that, but it makes sense.
Hey,
Dang Trojan says, is Caleb healthy or not?
He will be.
Man.
He will be.
I mean, he'll be healthy after he picks up that Heisman Trophy.
Hey, we'll just enjoy our Cheez-It Bowl with Florida State or whoever it is.
Cheez-It. Wait, you mean tax
or
bowl?
Guaranteed Rate Bowl or whatever.
Oh, it's Cheez-It. It's the Cheez-It so far. OU's at the Cheez-It when I'm not traveling to Orlando for that.
What about the Belk Bowl, man, where Jeremy Sprinkle stole those gift cards for Arkansas back in the day?
Okay, that was crazy.
Still hilarious too.
No, you get $500 gift cards, so that's the even more shocking part. And then he shoplifted when he had a $500 gift card. He's like, I'm gonna save this for later.
Hey, sometimes you got to make sure that you got futures.
My favorite here recently, one of my favorite college football stories is the Jeremy Pruitt saga. The cash in the McDonald's bags. And then I don't know if y'all heard the new news. Guys, we need to lay off Jeremy Pruitt. He's classier. It wasn't a McDonald's bag. It was Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
Shut the front door.
It was Chick-fil-A. So
Chick-fil-A.
That's better.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
He probably did it on a Sunday too.
Oh, well, that's just blasphemous. That's just blasphemous.
I'll save the bag for a Sunday.
So he can easily get caught. Like, you idiot. Yeah. They're not open.
Yeah. How'd you get a Chick-fil-A bag and they're not even open on Sunday?
God.
Hey, but I will ask you guys this real quick before we dive into something else. The news is finally official. Prime time to Colorado.
Yeah, that's the talking point, man. That's exactly where we were going next. Drew, you asked it, man. I want to hear your thoughts.
Man, it's going to be interesting because, what he did at Jackson State with limited resources, he had to dump a lot of his own money in there. And I don't know if people are aware of just how much he really gave in, not only with his time, but with his money and everything like that he did for that program. But now going to Colorado, you're going to have better facilities. You're going to have more resources. You're going to have, obviously some more recruiting dollars, stuff like that, NIL packages.
Coaches' salaries. I think that was his biggest one, was his salaries for his assistants. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's already hired, I think, former Texas A&M coach to be a D-line coach. I think that was this morning. I can't think of his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I forgot, but he's already.
It's Todd. Is it Todd Williams?
I think so. I think that's right. But he's going to get his son to come play quarterback. Travis Hunter's probably going to transfer there too. So that's two good pieces right there to start out with. And in a Pac-12 where two of your best teams are getting ready to leave, so it's right for the picking there for Prime and Colorado to go make a play in the Pac-12. So I'm be interested to see how he gets that thing going and then what he does with the Buffaloes.
Yeah, and here's the thing for me, man. I completely get it.
That number's way wrong, though. By the way, as far as that pay,
that's
he's getting 5.
That's why I highlighted it. I was like, $15 million a year, man. No, nobody in their right mind would turn that down. So I completely get why Deion is doing this. It makes perfect sense. I kind of really was interested in seeing what it would look like if he stayed at Jackson State for a little bit longer, because think about all the attention that has now been given to HBCUs. Like, they're in prime time slots in ESPN now. Like, we're talking about HBCU football. We're watching HBCU recruitments. And I think that that's extremely powerful. And I know that Deion had that whole drama with the coach, and the coach said, he's not SWAC, I'm SWAC. And I'm not going to pretend to understand the intricacies of the HBCU football leagues because I'm, primarily Power 1, Division 5. That's what I do. But here's what I will say. He's given a lot of exposure. And with exposure in football comes economic opportunity to these teams. And so I thought it would have been really cool to see him stay there. But at the same time, how can I ever tell someone, hey, whenever an opportunity like this presents itself, don't take it. Yeah. Absolutely take it. So awesome to see. I'm super interested. Guys, Jay, Zach, what are your thoughts on this?
So let me jump in real quick on the Deion move. It was as expected. Deion's been talking about wanting a Power Five a job in in D1 Power Five for the last couple of years since he's been at Jackson State. If you've actually listened to what he's been saying, no one's just giving him the time of day. And it was between Colorado and South Florida, which I'm really surprised Cincinnati didn't jump into the minute they lost Lou Fickle, because you could have easily had Deion come there, bring in some additional recruits, and sustain what they were doing going into the Big 12 next year. But I guess that's not something they had interest in. But him going to Colorado, honestly, is probably one of the better situations for him to go. This is the third straight black head coach that Colorado has hired. Like, most people don't realize that. Wow. It's pretty crazy to see that they have done that. But at the same time, I can totally see Deion getting there, lasting 2 years. Year one is going to be abysmal, get a whole bunch of transfers in this year and next, and in year two, they race to a bowl game with ease, maybe 8, maybe 9 wins. And from there, him parlaying that into a Mel Tucker job somewhere else a little bit bigger, because by then, another job will be open. Exactly. Now, if Colorado throws money at him to convince him to stick around and actually throw money into their resources and their facilities, then I could totally see him sticking around. Yep. But the tough part for Colorado is that this is the first time that they've actually shown that they actually want to put money into their program. Yep. A lot of these schools are ponying up money today compared to years past, saying, you know what? Being good at football actually does matter to these students. So we probably should try to facilitate that and make something good. Then you'll see an influx of funding into these programs. So these boosters are actually putting money into Colorado. So,
well, I think a thing that to see and everything like that is how he's going to bring the former alumni into the fold at Colorado, like Cordell Stewart, some of these guys, and really start cultivating something there and really using that as a platform as well too. So I can see a lot of good things happening, but it's also, let's just make no mistake, it's a tough job right now.
Oh yeah.
Zach, what was your initial reaction?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I was a little shocked that Deion Sanders took the Colorado job. I mean, do I think it's a good job? Sure. Do I think Cincinnati would have been a better job? Yeah, I believe Cincinnati would have probably been a better football gig. In addition to that, I thought, you know what, maybe he'll wait one more year, wait for another big program to kind of come up, and then maybe take a role like that. But, you know, I guess maybe Primetime's looking at like, hey, I'm going to start at HBCU, then I'm going to go Power 5, and then maybe find my way in the SEC, Pac-12, or Big Ten later on to kind of prove himself as a coach. But, man, this is great for Colorado. I mean, they have an opportunity to completely turn the program around. I like what Jay said. I know a couple of years ago they interviewed Tony Alford, our running backs coach at Ohio State, to potentially take that role, and I think he decided to stay, which I was a little puzzled by that, by him staying. But, you know, we're very appreciative of that. But, yeah, man, I think – Colorado fans should be happy. And is this a Colorado team we look at that we did back in the 2000s when they played against Nebraska and Eric Crouch? So we'll see, man. Colorado used to be very talented. I would love to see Primetime succeed at Colorado.
Yeah, the question is who can he retain in the Colorado, in the state? Like, I saw a few people initially talking about the Arizona schools saying, hey, Deion should take one of the jobs in Arizona. He'd kill it like Arizona State or something like that, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with those schools is they can't even retain the state talent. Yeah. Go look at their last 5 years of talent that's come out of Arizona. None of them picked the state schools at all. Their top 10s, none of them picked the state schools. It's crazy how no one wants to stay in Arizona.
Yeah.
So Colorado's one of those bigger ones. Yeah. Well, getting that Denver town is going to be the question.
With Dillingham going to Arizona State now, that's going to be his key. And I think he said it first day during his introductory press conferences. We have to do a better job of keeping the talent that we have in the state. And I think that's for all these schools. I mean, you know, we saw with Oklahoma, you know, we were letting some of our talent go to, you know, let's say
Alabama.
Josh Proctor going to Ohio State, you know, some other things like that. And so
Dax Hill.
Yep, Dax Hill.
Dax Hill to Michigan. You had Josh Jacobs going to Alabama. Yeah.
And so I think you have to put with teams like that, when you don't have a big, you know, a big crop of talent as it is, elite talent. Now, let's be honest. You know, there's guys sprinkled in here, but it's not like the bigger states. It's not like Florida and Texas, California, stuff like that. You have to take advantage of those 5 stars when they hit in your state. Like, you've got to keep them home. And You know,
I mean, look at Arkansas, man. Arkansas did the same thing for years, man.
Yep. So
Yeah, that's the key thing. Is keeping that in-state talent at the big schools. One of the two of them has to win them. And Colorado, that's what Deion's going to have to figure out there. And I think he will. I think he will. Like I said, he has a lot of cachet with just recruits because people still know Deion. They know prime time.
Yeah.
And it's funny how far removed from actual prime time we are that people still know Deion Sanders. It's fascinating that he still resonates with the youth.
And here's the thing that I really liked about him and his decision. He sat down with his players yesterday, right in front of them, looked them in the eye, and told them exactly what was happening.
Yep.
He didn't try to BS them. He didn't try to do anything like that. He said, hey, at the end of the day, you know, you have to make a decision. My decision is to leave and go here, but I'm going to make sure you guys are taken care of here at Jackson State. I'm not just going to leave you hanging out to dry. And I thought that was really cool for him to think of them, you know, and all that. And that was a classy move by Deion, because like we said, in years past, the old Deion, he would have been like, I'm going to get mine and go on. So.
Yeah, I think Deion is a compelling hire. Let's be very honest. Wherever he goes, he's going to bring a certain level of attention that is going to be positive. Flair said he could have waited, and that's something we were discussing earlier, Flair. There could have been other opportunities, but at the same time, I think if you're Deion, an opportunity is an opportunity, and it's Division I Power 5. And I think it'd be tough for any of us to say don't take a Division I Power 5 job opportunity if you're not currently even – I mean, think about it. He's not even an assistant in the Division I Power 5 ranks, right? Like, he's making a jump after coaching in college football for a short time. You got something, Drew?
I do. It's in our group chat. I don't know if you saw it, but Winston Watkins Jr., the top 20 player in the 25 class, is already committed to Colorado receiver. So he was privileged.
Oh, Deion's been working.
So already.
Is Travis Hunter going to come with him?
I would imagine he is. I
can't
imagine Travis Hunter's.
Yeah, and then his son is going to play quarterback. I would be shocked if that. But you're already seeing guys that are jumping on board there with Colorado. So.
Oh yeah, it was another player that announced that they were committing to Colorado a few days ago. A day ago, when all of this was basically being speculated. And you're going to see an influx of transfers on Monday going to Colorado. Just watch. It's going to be huge. And honestly, he may be able to turn them around this year with all the transfer he brings in, because it's going to be so different.
Situation now, I'm not saying they're going to win 10 or 11 games, but you could see
them. But right, they won't have one win. They'll have they may make a bowl game next year.
Yeah.
The transfer portal allows that, which is kind of
and that's a huge swing for Colorado if they win 6 games. So
exactly,
that's definitely a step up. Yeah,
I think they can. And the Pac-12 is not that tough this year. I mean, you really have 4 teams that own it. You can bring one more in there. The rest of them are all just middle of the pack. Between USC, Oregon, UCLA, and Utah, that's really all you got. I mean, I like Washington, but I think that they'll go up and down like they always do. Same thing with Oregon State and Washington State, Cal, Stanford. Who's a Stanford coach? Have we even found that out yet?
No, they usually do a pretty. They usually keep it pretty tight to the vest and kind of do their own little silent hires. I think that's what they did with Shaw and a few other guys. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who takes that job. And yeah, I was just about to point that out, Ty. How would you feel if a Riley was calling plays at Bama?
No way.
He'd be idiot not to love it.
Guys, I watched Bill O'Brien call plays at Alabama, and I don't know.
He'd
if
rather
y'all
have
noticed,
me.
I saw so many times where we'd have 3 receivers, and all of their routes they'd be within 5 yards of each other, and so there's 4 defenders in 5 yards, and then we're wondering how come Bryce can't find an open receiver. Well, it's because you've ran them all to the same area. It kills
Stanford should get Garrett Riley as head coach. Somebody just said. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I really think Dan Mullen might be your next OC at Alabama next year.
It makes sense. It would make sense, no doubt about that.
That follows the blueprint of the Saban School of Coaching and Rehabilitation. So that sounds about right. I thought Scott Frost. That's who I was been thinking this whole time. I was assuming that he would end up down there.
Scott Frost is a possibility. Now does Alex Grinch go to the Alabama rehab program? When Lincoln Riley says you gotta get out of here.
No.
Does Pete Golding go to USC?
No, Golding's not going anywhere. That's Bama's boy. That's the one thing I realized about when I looked through the coaching history of Nick Saban.
Pete Golding, he would never leave Alabama.
One thing that I've noticed about the history of Nick Saban's hiring, offensive side, he gets rid of a coach every couple of years. Defense, he sticks with his dude for damn near forever. It's just what he does. And because he's also one of the coaches.
Unless they leave and take a Georgia head coaching job. So.
Right. And Smart was there, what 8 years?
Yep,
yeah, Smart. But I mean, he's been with Saban for a long time. Even he and Saban were connected at the hip for a while. So, here's what I will say.
Dang Trojan. Hey.
Yeah, no, dang Trojan. That's the point. Y'all can't keep anybody.
Well, and I was also going to say, Will Anderson is actually from Georgia.
Touche.
So. Our second best.
But he's talking about Bryce, of course. He's talking about Bryce. But I get it. I love the joke.
No, I'm just trolling back a little bit at Trojan. I'm never going to argue Bryce. I mean, take your pick. I'm not going to give an argument for who's the best player. I'm just trolling back a little bit, all in good fun. And Trojan agrees Grinch has got to go. Yeah, he does. He does.
Dude, I've been saying this. I said this for years. I told Drew, and Drew will attest. He thought Alex Grinch was that next best defensive coordinator at OU. I said Grinch is garbage, man. As an Ohio State fan, he's going to come in there. He's not going to change anything up. And sure enough, Alex Grinch has been the same person that I've seen since 2018 in Columbus.
Ooh, hey, Flair, that man, would that be awesome? Brian Flores, Bama OC, or a college job? Wow.
You know who I've always wondered? Why hasn't Bama reached out to Kevin Sumlin?
Why hasn't Oklahoma reached out to Kevin Sumlin?
He won't come back to Oklahoma.
That was under the Stoops regime. I would bring him back. Isn't his son here?
Yeah. Jackson.
So we do have some news
son plays.
Well, his son is on the team.
We do have some news here. We got some bowl game news. So obviously we have TCU versus Michigan. We have Ohio State versus Georgia in the Rose Bowl. We have Utah versus Penn State in the Cotton Bowl. We have Tulane versus USC in the Orange Bowl. Yeah. In the Orange Bowl, Clemson versus Tennessee. So
Tulane, USC in the Cotton. Oh, we get Lincoln back in Dallas. Ooh.
OU fans maybe have to buy tickets to that one.
Oh, they're gonna buy the hell out of those Tulane tickets. They're gonna be up there just it's gonna be a troll fest.
Text my buddy who's in Dallas. I may go down for that game.
I'm saying
me too.
Kevin Sumlin is an offensive coordinator for Alabama. That's my point here. Kevin Sumlin is Alabama's offensive coordinator.
Unless Nick Saban retires this year, and they'll put Kevin Sumlin there. Hey, I'm scared.
Don't do this to me, man.
No, that's Dabo Swinney's
let me
job.
ask you this. This is your show. Let me ask you this.
No.
If Nick Saban announces his retirement next week, what is your first thought?
Hey, Dabo.
Promote Pete Golding.
I'm gonna tell you what, Dabo Swinney is not gonna be the next head coach of Alabama. Here's why. We had a guy. I'm really good friends with a guy who was great friends with the former center for Alabama back in the 90s. That was really good friends with Swinney when Swinney was a recruiter back in the early 90s and stuff, one of the receiver coaches. And he's told this gentleman that he will not be the next head coach after Nick Saban leaves because he doesn't want to have to fill in those shoes right away. He could be later on in the future, but he said without a doubt he will choose not to be the next head coach at Alabama right after Nick Saban leaves.
He also has an Alabama clause in his contract at Clemson.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Urban Meyer to Bama.
Because they know he's going to take the job if they offer it. That's the problem.
So
I hate Urban Meyer. Screw Urban Meyer.
My reaction, man, it would be, I'd be in awe, obviously. I don't even know if I'd know who I'd want to take the job after Nick Saban, because how do you possibly how do you possibly pass those expectations down to anybody, right? So I can say like, oh, I like this name, I like this name, I like this name, but inevitably you're coming to Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's why I think you're 100% right, Zach. I wouldn't personally. I like Dabo. I do not want Dabo to be the next head coach of Alabama. I think that Dabo's stance in some areas like the transfer portal and NIL, it's going to be harder and harder to maintain that stance as time goes on. And I feel like if you're Alabama, you need a coach that's going to be as progressive as Nick Saban, not less progressive than Nick Saban, right?
Absolutely.
And that's where Dabo, as great of a coach as he is, Saban is very progressive when it comes to the game of football, and the rules and being fluid. I just don't know about Dabo. As great of a coach as he is, I certainly wouldn't complain. But you guys, whoever takes that job has to be some level of insane, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes,
And
that's not someone you want to follow, especially because Alabama is one of the toughest jobs in the country, specifically because everybody wants you fired after like the first 2 weeks. Bama fans want Saban fired.
Yeah,
That tells me enough about that job.
Yeah, and when you say it's a tough act to follow, it is going to be the toughest act to follow.
Ever.
Period. Like that, it's
Other than Bill Belichick in New England, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
And Bombs makes a great point here. Dabo or an established program owner, you can't guess with that pick. You have to nail it, or Bama will be a flounder for a decade. It has to be a continuation. And I do agree with this. I wonder what a flounder looks like for Alabama in this era. I just wonder what that looks like. But it is going to be very, very interesting. Now, guys, I got to get your opinion on this. Hugh Freeze to Auburn. What are we thinking here? Because here's where it's a little bit interesting to me. I think some people were surprised that someone else didn't take this job. I've said it on multiple shows. I can't be convinced that a job where the people who have the hiring and firing powers decided to launch a coup against you is an upgrade from anywhere, right? It's interesting to me that they tried to get rid of Brian Harsin for the reasons they tried to get rid of him for, but hired Hugh Freeze with the history he has. It just seems like it's one and the same. What were we thinking here?
Well, I'll say this first. Hugh Freeze is a heck of a coach.
Yes, he is.
You can't deny that.
Yes, he is.
He can recruit. He can do all those things. He had it going at Ole Miss there for a little bit. He had Laramie Tunsil, a bunch of these guys that he recruited was really good. Now his transgressions, all that stuff, off the field issues, everything like that, the cell phone, the burner, all that stuff. I believe people can change, and I think that he had to take a step back and really humble himself and really, understand. I think he's taken ownership of what he did, and I think he's put some parameters in place. But for him, I think it's a shot at redemption, and I'm all about redemption, and I'm all about giving guys second chances. But I think it's bigger than this. I think it's Auburn just trying to reach, and they've been reaching for a while. They've hired coaches to seemingly put Band-Aids on the problem, when sometimes you got to go out there and dig out the infection and really figure out the core problem. And obviously they haven't won a national championship since Gene Chizik and Scam Newton, as Zach likes to call him. But Auburn's been a proud program over the years. In the 80s they were pretty good. They had Pat Dye, all that stuff. So they're a traditional program. But again, back to the point about Alabama, you have to contend with the Crimson Tide in the state of Alabama, and that's no easy task. And it's going to be a bumpy road here for Auburn, but I mean, if anybody can do it and they give him an opportunity, Hugh Freeze maybe the right guy for this time. But the administration is going to have to let him really coach and really recruit and all that the right way. Hopefully he'll do it the right way this time and all that. But I mean, we'll see. I think it's they got a good coach, but I think it's more internal than that. I think it's the president, the AD, some stuff like that really needs to take a hard look in the mirror and figure out exactly what you want to be and what your identity is as a football program. Now, other sports, they got it going. I mean, obviously, they hire, sketchy coaches. They got Bruce Pearl and all these other stuff too. But, you got to figure out what your identity is as not only a football program, but an athletic department as a whole. So that's just my quick take on Auburn.
I agree with you completely about the administration. And it's just so hard for me to believe that job is just super desirable when the administration seems to be a lack of buy-in. And I think my cause for concern here is less about Hugh Freeze, because you're 100% right. In terms of X's and O's, goodness gracious, that dude is a thorn in anybody's side that has to play him. That's just how he's been.
Yep.
I think they made a great hire because you also point to they need someone to contend with Alabama. That's exactly what Hugh Freeze did.
He beat them 2 years in a row.
Beat them 2 years in a row and was a thorn in their side every other year. So he has that. And for Hugh Freeze, this is, I think you put it best, redemption. I don't know how many other people were just jumping at this Auburn job because of the state of the program, because of who they have to play, and because of the administration. He sees this as a great opportunity. Makes complete sense for Hugh Freeze, and he is a very solid coach. Jay, what was your reaction when you saw the Hugh Freeze news?
So, okay. Bear with me here on this. I agree with you, Drew, on the redemption piece, and people deserve second chances. Hugh Freeze got that second chance. He went to Liberty, a school that's supposed to be on Christian values, after he was fired from his last job for their morale clause in his contract. Yeah, so if you have a moral clause in your contract, you get fired from it, then a Christian school hires you, there's your second chance. You've got that. He also has shown a pattern of problems since he was even at Liberty. I mean, 6 months ago, he was DMing a girl that is suing the school currently for sexual assault. He DM'd her unprovoked to tell her that the guy that she is suing them about is a good Jesus man. That was my red flag about him. That tells me there's a pattern of things that you shouldn't do. You should never do that as a head coach, ever, especially when you know it's going to get exposed.
Yeah.
You send a DM like an idiot. So it tells me everything about him is that he does not make good decisions. Now, as far as him going to Auburn, yes, Auburn loves getting coaches that have very sketchy and bad backgrounds. They hired Hugh Freeze for one reason, because he's beat Nick Saban 2 times in a row. You want to know who else has done that? The guy they fired.
Gus Malzahn.
He did it too. So you think that that's going to be a parameter to help you win? It ain't. It ain't going to help you. And it's all because their front office, their entire booster club, everything about Auburn is awful. It's set up awful. It's set for you to lose. It's set for you to fail. It's set for you to fail. It's literally built for you to fail. That's exactly what it is. And so he's going to go out there. He's going to win a game against Nick Saban. He's going to get his doors blown off by Kirby Smart and eventually get fired. That's what's going to happen. You think that Nick Saban's the one you need to target? You need to target Kirby Smart, because both of them are the problem. It's no longer just Bama. Georgia's always put together good teams, but they can never get over the hump.
But one
got the guy getting them over the hump.
Yeah, one of them 71.
Right. And this guy's a disciple. This is the first Saban disciple, like Bill Belichick's disciples, that actually is really good at his job.
You know what? Nick
outside
Saban
of the coach.
was a Bill Belichick disciple.
Yeah.
So,
there you go. It's very few of them. It's so hard because it's usually the head coach that's doing it. He's the one pulling the strings that you don't recognize. And so to me, when Hugh Freeze got hired, I'm like, y'all really like broken people. Y'all love the open box special. What are we doing? Lane Kiffin too. Remember, Lane Kiffin got relegated to Florida Atlantic after he was USC, Tennessee coaches.
And
he had to go down and back up.
Now Tom Herman's in the FAU rehab.
Right, Tom Herman. They all end up in bad. You go to Auburn, you end up in a bad place. Yep. You end up at a G5 school immediately, even though that you have coached at other Power 5 schools. That's what's going to happen to Hugh Freeze. He's going to once again end up just like all the other Auburn coaches. I'll say this though, they do have a good chance because of how good of a X's O's guys and recruiter he is. And now that he can actually pay the players legally, they may actually bat for a national championship at least once, and then he'll get fired.
And another thing he's got going for him that I really liked was he retained Cadillac Williams.
Yes,
and I think Cadillac Williams
that was smart. That was a smart morale piece.
Yeah,
that was a smart thing for the team.
To the success that Auburn could have is keeping a guy like that.
Look, I'm gonna say this. I'm
sorry, Jonathan. That's hilarious, and you are so right.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is the strip clubs in South Florida are gonna be filled up with Tom Herman there. So, if you wanna know more about that, look into that. So, as far as
boy, that would have been a hell of a staff if you had Tom Herman and Banks.
Yeah.
Oh,
boy,
Yeah.
that
Well, I'll
monkey
tell
would
you
have
this.
gotten extra work.
I'm not sure. I say this over and over again. I don't know what Auburn fans are really expecting. I mean, guys, you have one national championship in the last 30, 40 years with Scam Newton. Like I said, Scam could have went to Tennessee for with Jay.
You
over
leave
there.
Scam alone.
And he would have won a national championship. Okay, Scam.
You leave Scam alone. You leave Scam alone. He carried that team. That's talent.
Literally.
He literally.
He
and figuratively picked up the stadium and walked down the street with
Alabama.
Oh, absolutely, man. Auburn is. I mean, Hugh Freeze is going to end up just like Gus Malzahn, just like Jay said, and just like Drew said. Hugh Freeze is great. That's awesome. I'm glad he was able to come back and coach again. But guys, this is Auburn. I mean, Auburn, for whatever reason, lets people go after their head coach beats Alabama 2 out of 4 years, and Gus Malzahn. So Auburn, man, this is not a good gig, and I feel like Hugh Freeze was their last choice. Like that was their last choice. I really feel like they wanted Lane Kiffin. I feel like they put feelers out for other people, and once all them said then no, they said, okay, well, we have no choice. Let's go get Hugh Freeze, or we have to name Cadillac Williams the head coach. So they chose Hugh Freeze, and I think it's just going to be his demise in just a couple of years. So who cares? Who cares? The guy can retire once they give him a $30 million buyout.
Hey, why didn't they just hire Cam Newton as their head coach? He's not doing anything.
I don't know, man. Maybe he'll play offensive coordinator.
Zach, I completely agree with you. I think people, when I say it, they think it's because I'm an Alabama fan, right? But like, I've been told, especially when it was the Lane Kiffin talks, everybody would say, "Oh, Auburn's a better job than Ole Miss," and I'd be like, "Is it? Is it really?"
That's
money, yes.
That Zach was talking about is what I get that you've won a national championship, one of them in the last 20, 30 years or whatever it is. But what kind of expectations do you think,
Exactly.
You're contending with Alabama?
Exactly.
Are you going to out-recruit Alabama? Are you going to find somebody that's going to out-recruit Alabama?
Not only that, but then just the way the administration just handled the Harsin situation. Like, I get it. Maybe Auburn has a higher ceiling, and I'll give you that. But I just think it's the question of the known versus the unknown, right? I don't know how supportive that Auburn administration is going to be, but I know I've seen them be unsupportive. I know how supportive my Ole Miss administration is going to be. I never thought the lane
and that job and that you think your job security is safe one day. It's literally from week to week they change their mind.
Yeah, chat. I want to know from y'all, what's the better job? You're a free agent college football coach. You get your opportunity. Ole Miss, Auburn, both of them call this year. This year.
So I'm gonna be honest on it when it comes to that. I do believe that Auburn's a better job.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is that they do tend to get better recruits than you do get at Ole Miss traditionally. And when's the last time we talked about Ole Miss playing in a national championship or even close to it?
All fair.
Auburn's had had 2 undefeated seasons in the last 20 years. We haven't talked about that with Ole Miss. They can get recruits, and they can accidentally have great years, but you ain't getting that with Ole Miss. And I love Lane Kiffin. I think that he's a fantastic recruiter. I hate what he did at Tennessee, but at the same time, I got it. USC was his dream job. He got his opportunity, but he ain't gonna be able to bring that. He's gonna lose 3 games a season. Now, Ole Miss will be happy with that. 10 wins, 3 losses. I'm totally for it too. If I was them, Auburn's not gonna accept that. They did that to Gus Malzahn, who beat Nick Saban 2 years in a row. Like, why would you fire the dude who has done something that you want to get done? Hugh Freeze is going to average 8 wins a season.
Is Chris Griffin got a hold of Matt's account over here?
Matt has been after me for so long about this. And it just cracked me up
Matt's
so
been giving
much.
you crap forever. I love it.
Jeez.
I love it.
Now, here's
Wait,
what,
as long as Chris isn't on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, I'm hoping Chris don't
pulling the
find it
strings
too.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's a good point. He might be.
well,
You're
I'll
right.
never forget the stream after that Iron Bowl game. He still had that Auburn thing up behind him. And I told him we should have, my man is finally here. I told Chris we should have hit him with a Texas Tech banner in the background, Jance and I, just for that Auburn banner.
Oh, here we go.
Guys, joining us right now, Jonathan Lewis from College Football with Jonathan Lewis. And, there's a lot to talk about. Jonathan, you talked about something in a comment. And, Zach, I want to get your take on it after we let Jonathan kind of talk here. We haven't really talked about recruiting too much. And National Signing Day is barreling towards us quickly. Jonathan, before you came in here, you said Brandon Ennis to Colorado. The fact he openly said he may delay his signature so he can be courted by Deion.
That's big news, man. And Horn Jr. as well, the number one transfer, is visiting Colorado. So he openly said he's visiting. The Deion effect's already taken effect.
Well, they got a top 20 receiver in the 25 class just committed.
Yeah, exactly.
Flip from A&M. So,
but to be fair, Ohio State is like 20 deep.
Yeah,
I mean let's be real for a minute. Like, it's not like they're going to be lacking anything in that wide receiver room. But
Ohio State could lose a 5-star wide receiver and not even realize it happened.
That's what. Look at Jameson Williams. Dude, are you serious? Yeah. That man was like 5th. It felt like on the depth chart. And
Paul, we're not saying that. That's Jonathan's prediction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's not
Brandon Ennis is staying at Ohio State, baby. Come on, man. I mean, I definitely get what you're saying. There's definitely could be a possibility, but with JSN leaving next year and Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. there, Brandon Ennis is going to be the starter. He's going to be one of the 3 starters for Ohio State next year because Julian Fleming is going to transfer out. That's pretty much already.
Oh, he's out.
Set. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, Fleming's going to leave. Pretty much 1,000%, right? I'd be shocked. The only thing that would prevent Fleming leaving is if Ohio State somehow beats Georgia and then goes to win a national championship, and Fleming is somehow a big part of that. Which right now I'm being told that Jack Smith and Jigba is going to play in the semifinal against Georgia now. So Fleming will no longer be in the starting lineup. I don't think Fleming's going to. I don't think Fleming's going to be going to the transfer portal yet, but definitely can see him enter the transfer portal by the end of the season, and then Ennis will come in and be a starter. But those are rumors. These are all rumors, right?
Oh, no.
Anything can happen, and Jigba could decide to continue to make a business decision. But with those hamstring issues he's been having, those are typically 6 to 8 week issues, and by the time Georgia happens in a couple weeks, so it's gonna be long gone by the time he can get back.
Since you're on, I got a question. And do you think the Brian Hartline takes the position at Cincy? And does that have an effect on these wide receivers? Because he recruited a lot of these guys.
No, Brian Hartline leaving would definitely have a drastic effect on the wide receivers.
Yeah.
However, what I will say is Brian Hartline right now is not going to Cincinnati. Now, do I believe what he said in regards to him staying at Ohio State? Not 100%, because I think the reason why he came out and tweeted what he tweeted was due to the fact that they still had an opportunity to make the college football playoffs, right? Yeah. So the last thing you want to do is go take a Cincy job or go interview for a Cincy job and have guys enter in the portal, and then the committee coming out and saying, okay, well, they don't have Julian Fleming anymore. They may not have JSN, and they may not have Travion Henderson. So why don't we just go ahead and put Alabama in, because they don't even have the full team anymore, and we don't know what that looks like. So, but as far as Brian Hartline, the guy's always been in Columbus. I mean, other than playing for the Dolphins way back when, but then went to the Browns. I think what happens is I think Hartline will stay, because I think what Ryan Day is going to do is he's going to say, hey, look, I'm not going to call plays on the offensive side anymore start next year. And I think he's going to try to elevate Brian Hartline to give him that opportunity now, just to retain him, because you have to retain somebody like that from a recruiting perspective. Yeah. So that's just my take. That's my opinion. That's what I hear, kind of in and out of the Woody and stuff like that too. So, but we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Baum says you pay Hartline whatever he wants for recruitment and development. Dude is on another level. And look,
it's true.
Big Smash says Ohio State is wide receiver you, bro. And
not yet.
I want to argue Alabama, just because of the 2 wide receivers in the first round of the NFL draft. In the next year, another 2, which is the only team to have ever done that. But in 3 years, Smash, I mean, I think we're seeing Ohio State make a run right now that whenever these guys become draft eligible, they might have a claim in it. And there's no arguing that. And I'm an Alabama fan. Jonathan's an Alabama fan.
Yeah.
He's agreeing. Bombs is an Alabama fan, and he's saying you pay Hartline whatever he wants. And I agree.
Yeah. Dump
I
truck
agree.
if you got to back it up, bro.
He is too valuable.
Yeah, I don't think we're receiver U yet. Honestly, I think receiver U is LSU right now.
That's fair. I can take that.
Dude.
That's my take. I think Ohio State's. I think you can debate LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, but over the past couple years, I think Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson alone kind of cement themselves right now.
Then there's no arguing that, right? I mean, you just turn on the tape on Sunday and watch what they're doing.
Well, as far as the last couple, handful of years, NFL talent, those 2 guys, man, they're special.
Yeah,
now,
100%.
here's a comment I do want to talk about, because I agree with you in part of this, but here's the other part, Vids, that I think we do need to talk about. Something I want to hear from chat, because y'all are either going to think I'm insane or y'all are going to think I'm a genius. More like y'all are going to think I'm insane, because that's probably what it is. We saw Michigan beat Ohio State, but if I'm looking at who best matches up against Georgia out of the top 4 teams right now, I think it's Ohio State. And let me take this out. Michigan is a run first team. They're going to play right into the teeth of that Georgia defense. They're going to play right into the teeth of it. Now, Michigan has got a really good offensive line. That's going to be a fun game, but that Michigan front against that Georgia defense, I just don't know if they have the ability to hurt Georgia passing the ball enough with as much consistency. I look at TCU, and as much as I like TCU, I don't think, and I said this before, I watched Jalen Carter, guys. I don't know if y'all watched the SEC championship game. Jonathan, I know you watched it.
Yeah.
He was throwing dudes out the club.
He may be the number 1 pick.
I think he should be. 100%.
I agree. I thought he was great, but not that good until mid-season.
My God. I just don't know how that, works out. But here's the one thing Ohio State has. They have a lot of dangerous wide receivers. So does TCU, but I just think the way Ohio State utilizes them, they get a little bit more out of them top to bottom. And I think they have a little bit more depth. I think, as you say, you think LSU throwing for 500 plus on UGA was more an appropriate scheme or exposed secondary. I'm not going to say exposed secondary.
Yeah, well, that's the point that I was going to bring up.
I wasn't exposed.
It nevertheless, they did have 549 yards of total offense against Georgia, and if all those receivers, backs, everything are healthy for Ohio State, they'll be able to protect C.J. Stroud. They definitely could put some pressure on that Georgia defense, and it could be a really good game. But Kirby Smart is also very good at making adjustments. But I think Ohio State could have more of a balanced attack and keep Georgia on their heels.
Guys, I'm just gonna say this. I want to say this as a Buckeye fan. If Jackson Smith and Jibba does not play in this game, it's not even going to be. Ohio State has no shot to win. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that. What I will say this is, when you said you don't think Ohio State can run the ball against Georgia, I understand what you're saying. But in 2014, no one thought Ohio State could run the ball against Alabama either.
And Zeke is still running somewhere.
But the reason why they could was because they played spread offense, and they were in shotgun with Cardale Jones, right? Who was not a good thrower, not a great thrower. Mm-hmm. And they had a good offensive line, which they do. They got Paris Johnson, which is arguably an All-American left tackle. But what I will say is this. If you have Njigba, Buka, and Marvin Harrison out there, you're going to have to respect those guys. You may have to bracket one of them. I get Keely Ringo's a stud, but you're going to have to bracket Harrison Jr. or Njigba. And if you do that, you do open some run-in lanes, right? But you have to be able to block Jalen Carter. I'm going to say this about college football just in general this year. There's not one dominant team out there, guys. Like, I get it. Like, everyone's trashing Ohio State. I know, Ty, I get your argument earlier. It was a one-score game with 7 minutes left, and Michigan was struggling to run the ball all game until Michigan opened it up. Now, I get it. Your rushing yards are rushing yards, right? Donovan Edwards busted off for two long ones, which made it look horrendous for Ohio State. There's no excuse. But let's remember, like, there's no dominant team in college football this year. Georgia beat Kentucky by 10 points. They beat Mizzou by 4 points.
That's true.
They were up by 10 points against Kent State in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
at home. So, guys, this isn't like an Alabama team back in the 2015 with Derrick Henry. That's like, oh my God, we have to get lucky to get a fumble or a stop. Like, I really feel like this CFP is up for grabs for anybody. Now, if I were putting my life on the line, I'd pick Georgia to win the national championship. I picked Georgia 5 or 6 weeks ago, even when they were still struggling. And Drew will attest to that. Georgia's still my pick to win the national championship. But Ohio State does have an opportunity here to open up the offense a little bit. But Jim Knowles has got to figure something out defensively, and I think he can, because what Georgia is, they're a Michigan team on steroids, and that's exactly who they are. With Stetson Bennett, J.J. McCarthy, they're the same person, guys. Stetson Bennett's just like 10 years older, 30 with a bald head.
literally.
Well, and another thing too is that you're going to have to contend with those freaking tight ends of Georgia, and like it or not, Brock Bowers and company, those dudes are elite.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody in college football has an answer for those two.
6'7", dude.
Now, we did play well against Michael Meyer at the beginning of the season.
You very much well did.
But the problem is they have 3 disgusting tight ends.
Because Delp's behind him, yeah.
But again, guys, they don't have – I think that fits into Ohio State better, though, too, because they don't really have a receiver that can hurt you. Like Leg McConkey, come on, really? I mean, I get it. He can.
He's hurt.
But it really
he might be done.
It really fits into Ohio State's 3 safety look anyways against the tight end. So we may have better luck against Georgia than we would against even an Alabama or something else like that. And Stetson Bennett is – I mean, Georgia scares me, guys. I didn't want to have to play Georgia, but what my point is –
styles make fights.
Yeah, Ohio State has a shot if Jack Smith and Jigba plays. I want you guys to hear me clearly. I'm a Buckeye fan. Die hard. If he does not play, do not buy tickets to the game. There's no chance.
I feel like this game, because of how tight it can be, and I feel like Ohio State's easily the best matchup for the Georgia game. If anybody's going to beat Georgia in this group, it's got to be Ohio State. And I believe it comes down to one thing: turnovers. Georgia don't turn the ball over. So if Ohio State can find a way to pressure Stetson Bennett to being the last year Stetson Bennett against Alabama in the SEC championship game, throwing those erratic passes that he used to do all the time, in my opinion, that's going to be your best shot.
Yeah.
That's typically where Georgia gets in trouble, is when Stetson starts throwing those stupid passes.
You want to know what makes one of the things about the Georgia offense so difficult? So when I was doing some research before the SEC championship game, I stumbled upon something that was really compelling to me. And it kind of proves that the Georgia offense might not be the most explosive offense in the nation, but they're very, very difficult.
Consistent.
If you look at their leading receiver, it's the tight end, Brock Bowers. Their second was Ladd McConkey, and their third was a running back, McIntosh.
Yeah.
What that tells me is they're attacking the defense at every level using so you can key in on one guy and they're effectively getting it to the running back. You can key in on him, they're effectively getting it to the wide receiver. You key in on him, they're effectively getting it to the tight end. Like, they are utilizing their entire offense. They might not be running it up for 57 points a game, whatever, but it is so tough to stop them. The 3 high safety look, that might be the best opportunity to stop this Georgia offense with Ladd McConkey out. That might just be
size, though, man. Size is hard against Bowers and Darnell Washington. Like,
yeah,
he's right.
That dude, he's a freak. So is Brock Bowers, but Washington, that size and his ability to go get jump balls and whatnot and block. That's a tough matchup for him.
They're gonna have to get a pass rush, man. They're gonna have to get a pass rush.
Exactly.
They're gonna have to get an elite pass rush.
They're gonna put some heat on Stetson Bennett.
How good is Jake? Look at JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, who were, according to 247 Sports and ESPN, the number 1 defensive ends. Got Corey Foreman in there too. Obviously, those 3 kind of switch back and forth a little bit. Corey Foreman, of course, at USC, but those guys are gonna have to prove that how good are you? Because when I look at Georgia, I look at them, their offensive line, defensive line, and they're the best in the country to me by a mile. So Ohio State's gonna have to play out of their dadgum minds to have a chance to even stop
their
it.
linebackers are going to have to play a pretty good game too to try at least slow some tight ends down and play well in coverage and then take advantage of when they're blitzing and get some heat on Bennett to put him like like you said earlier with how Bama did, go back and watch some of that game plan that they had against him last year.
Well, Jim Knowles, man, is he worth $2 million a year or not? We're going to find out in a couple of
Yeah,
years.
real quick. You're going to find out real quick.
It's going to be all about the recruits that he brings in. And as long as they're super seniors, he will definitely dominate.
Yeah.
Hey, Malcolm Rodriguez is unfortunately not had no more eligibility.
Now, I do have a question for everybody on here because I feel like I've said this a million times already. Ty, you know this. I feel like Georgia's secondary is a tad bit overrated because of the front seven having the ability to get to the quarterback. Because Keely Ringo, let's be real, last year in the SEC championship game, I get it, he was a year younger. He got exposed bad.
Well, he doesn't have a ton of top end speed. I mean, you watch the LSU wide receivers just straight up run past him.
Right by him.
He reminds you of Jalen Ramsey.
It's exactly.
He reminds you a lot like Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
Or Trayvon Diggs.
Or Diggs, yep.
Yeah,
they can play great man-to-man coverage, but sometimes they're just going to get burnt.
Man.
Like Trayvon Diggs last year, right? I mean, he had the most interceptions in the NFL, but he also had the most yards allowed.
Yep.
Yeah. He's feast or famine.
Feast or famine, 100%. Live or die by the interception. Like living or die by the three.
Man. Jalen Ramsey, 6'2", ran a 4.41. I think Ringo will probably run about a 4.54.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But here's the difference too, though. What I will say is, guys, what I will say about last year is they did get beat pretty bad in the SEC championship last year against Mechie and Williams. He looked like a god when he wasn't covering Jamison Williams, is all I'm going to say. So Ringo has looked good when he's not covering the best. So, you got Jalen Hyatt, right? But, I mean.
Well, even neighbors at LSU yesterday, they were putting him one-on-one, and he was just saying, okay, let's go. Let's sprint. And he was just running right by him.
I think he's back to the point where it kind of gets painted over because of Georgia's front seven is so good that they get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah. He feels like he's more of a Josh Norman than he is a lockdown.
That's
because Josh is fantastic in the proper scheme of zone. Oh my God, he's masterful.
Richard Sherman,
right, there you go. Yeah, but you put him one-on-one with somebody, and he's a speedster. Oh yeah, dusted every time.
And that's why everyone compared. They said Darrelle Revis was better than Richard Sherman back in the day because Revis played press man-to-man coverage and would follow the best guy in the field.
He could run stride for stride with you, but he get ate up in the zone.
And Sherman, he just sat in cover 3 zone, man, and that was it.
He knew where to be and how to be there at the proper time. Like he knew his own speed, so he would get there at the exact moment he knew he needed to be there. Exactly. Which is masterful. That's something you can't deny. But Ringo, his problem is I believe that just this isn't the scheme that's going to show how excellent he truly is as an athlete. You see what I'm saying?
He's not going to be running. He's not going to be he's not going to be like tracking JSN all the game.
Yeah, he ain't stride for stride with somebody like that. But if you put him in the right spot, the right type of zone, he'll know when to get there to get the knockdown, the deflection, or even the interception.
Well, he's a very smart player. I mean, you just watch how
that's my point.
The line of scrimmage, the way he's very good at the line of scrimmage, initiating contact right off the release, the way he plays the wide receiver. I mean, it's about as technical as it gets.
Is he a hitter?
Oh, he's not afraid. Yeah, he's not afraid to let you.
And I'm wondering that. I asked that because it makes me think of like the Tyrann Mathieu and how teams have really leveraged him at the safety spot as more of a hitter, but leveraging your instincts at the position to really like knock out plays and make big plays. I'm curious if that will be something that he would flourish more in.
Yeah, like a Buda Baker type of player.
Oh, that's a good one. That's
right. Bob Sanders, something like that. Yeah, that's a good question. Or he could be, like I said, Josh Norman if they put him in the right defensive scheme and he go out there and just excel and just don't let him be man to man.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson too.
Yeah, but Jonathan, the whole thing you just asked is kind of the reason why I asked the question earlier. I think Ohio State's the best matchup for Georgia because they have those wide receivers to take advantage of that secondary.
Yeah.
Especially when they're all healthy.
Also, Ohio State has an offensive line that can block a lot longer than what Tennessee's line could do.
Yep.
And ours.
Because Tennessee had those receivers. They just couldn't block. They could not stop that.
Here's another piece to look at. I'm not saying that he's a Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but C.J. Stroud is a very underrated scrambler. He can get out.
He's elusive.
He needs to, and that could put another added wrinkle into Ohio State's offense if he, can go out and scramble for a couple first downs and, make make Georgia, think about that too.
Also, another person like that too is Bryce Young, but they don't both like to run at all.
Nope.
They're both so good at and
absolutely
elusive.
have to,
They just won't scramble.
Yeah.
Which I get. They don't want to get leveled. So
that's just that top-notch Bill O'Brien offense, though.
Oh, don't even no. 6.5-point favorites for Georgia right now, by the way, on Vegas.
I just did that to Ty.
I really hope Ohio State goes out there and keeps this game and covers the spread. I just want them to cover the spread. That will make me so happy.
Great matchup.
Hey, speaking of the spreads yesterday, I'm undefeated on CFP spreads, other than the Buffalo and Akron game so far for the championship weekend. So I won.
So you're not undefeated,
huh?
So you're not undefeated.
Okay, I won every game but the Bulls get. Hey, if I'd have won that game, I would have made 30.
You've been undefeated, but that's good. That's dope.
I would have made
Can't
30
beat that.
grand. It's crazy.
You couldn't have been me. I'd have floundered some of those. Yeah, I think the semis are great styles.
I do it every week.
Completely agree.
I do.
Matt is out here spreading blasphemies, saying,
"Oh man, is this libel? Can we sue?
Well, I think
Ty.
It's approaching.
Well, O'Brien's spelled wrong,
I think
so
Ty
we're
is
good.
going to be making shirts here soon.
Erroneous.
Hey man, keep it going. I love it. Please keep
Yeah.
it going. That
Ty's going to
warms
be
my
making
heart.
shirts soon. I heart Bill O'Brien.
Have y'all ever seen Wedding Crashers?
Oh
Yes.
no.
My favorite scene is Vince Vaughn. Erroneous on all counts.
Here we go.
Ty, I know you've seen Marvin Constant shirts, right?
I actually haven't.
Fire Pete Golding shirts he's been sporting all year
Oh no.
on all his podcasts.
Is it did
Oh,
they put the mugshot
God.
of Pete Golding on there?
No, he just straight up has shirts for sale on his website that say Fire Pete Gold. He's been sporting that since last year, though.
Jeez.
He's a former
See-
Alabama player.
It's interesting. I was going to say this earlier. Alabama used to have a problem of teams coming and trying to poach the offensive and defensive coordinator.
Not with these guys.
Nobody's trying to poach these dudes.
That's the problem. That's why you need to.
That's
When you-
fascinating. That
hey,
tells you a
I
little
want
bit of
to-
something right there.
Bro,
When you want them to, they won't. But when you don't want them to, they will.
Yep.
That was my
Fair point.
argument for Jimbo Fisher. Is Jimbo Fisher really elite because he has no offensive defense coordinators outside of one.
Well,
that's
Jimbo
ever been
Fisher
poached.
has to get his offense out of the Stone Age first of all. If he's this big quarterback whisperer,
Dog.
which he, 1 year with Jameis Winston, I don't know exactly how you can call that a quarterback whisperer, but
who is known as as far as football IQ.
Yeah.
Let's be before we can, let's not talk about off the field. On the field, Jamison Williams, Jamison Winston was known as a football IQ savant, even in high school. Like he was
Yep.
So how much of that was really Jimbo?
Dude.
oh, and also the playmakers that he had around him. Let's be honest, some of some guys. I mean, it's
Well,
easy to call plays.
he didn't have Delvin
Got
Cook
those
that
dudes.
year.
Who is
He
the
was a freshman
receiver?
the very next year, but
Benjamin.
Kelvin
Benjamin.
Benjamin was there. Kelvin Benjamin was a receiver.
Kelvin Benjamin. There we go. That's
Nick Valeri. They had Devontae Freeman was a starting
Yeah.
running back.
Yeah.
So
So
James Wilder Jr. played backup running back for them. LaMarcus Joyner, Jalen Ramsey. So guys like that were on that defensive. And James
Makes life
Winston
a lot
man, was
easier.
stud. Yeah, made life a ton easier for sure.
Well,
and
know
they
what?
still almost
Gus
almost
Malzahn.
lost to Auburn.
Y'all
Gus
want to know
Malzahn,
something
dude.
wild? So whenever we talk about, I know Bama, you'll look up and do they base in a 3-4 or a 4-3? Technically, we base out of a nickel now. Let's be very honest. It's 2022 in college football. Almost everybody's basing out of a nickel these days. Bama runs a quote unquote 4-2-5, but really it's a 2-4-5 nickel, which makes this is gonna kill me.
I mean,
It's
depends.
what do you mean?
Look at the packages now. Midway through the season, you started incorporating cheetah packages and everything else, and they mixed it up. You even saw a multiple scheme on the back end.
What I'm saying is as our base nickel, it's not a 4-2-5, it's a 2-4-5.
Yeah,
Because we only have
technically.
2 defensive linemen. Neither Will or Dallas Turner, they're not edges. They're outside linebackers
Yep.
who we have playing as edges. And so we're wondering why our interior presence hasn't been as good. That's because you're asking 2 defensive linemen to try and eat up blocks for Will Anderson as he's got a tackle and a guard and a
Yep.
tight end chipping him. It is wild the resources they pull to him.
Matt,
But I don't understand why Dallas So no, Matt, you're right. So Bama base is basically a 4-2-5 nickel defense, 4 linebackers, 2 defensive linemen, 2 down defensive linemen, 5 DBs.
Yep.
For whatever reason, against LSU, mind you, if you were going to run a 1-4-6, the last game on the schedule for Alabama that it made sense to run a 1-4-6 was against LSU, with one of the most efficient running quarterbacks in the nation. But alas, we trot out a 1-4-6 with no defensive spies. None. Denzel almost had a conniption.
Pete Golden, bro.
Pete Golding.
I mean, let's be real.
I want to go back to the USC Utah game for a second and
Sir.
talk about Cam Rising and how that dude just loves to play USC. Like, and the way he said it this after the game and his post game comments and all that stuff, they asked him, Caleb Williams painted his fingernails, F Utah. He goes, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
He didn't say I don't care. He said something.
Yeah, well, I just for I don't want Ty's show to get kicked off the stream here, but yeah, he was pretty blunt in his thoughts of Caleb Williams and them. But
what did he have painted on it? I
Caleb
didn't know.
Williams it said FU Utah.
F Utah.
Yeah.
Utah.
I dididn't realize that. I knew he painted his fingernails. I didn't.
Yeah,
Second time he's done it, by the way.
4, and then he had Utah on the other finger, on the other hand.
If he had beat Utah,
it was Notre Dame too. He had the same thing against Notre Dame.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he walked out there with beat Utah, I'd be like, okay, that's cool, right? That's expressive, whatever. But come on, man, you're USC.
Yeah,
you're not Georgia.
But that's why he left
Ohio
Oklahoma,
State.
Right? He couldn't get his nails done. That was the running laugh.
He didn't He didn't. The shopping wasn't good enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
what
was a running joke.
Right, and Jonathan, you know me. I've been proponent is a strong word. I've been optimistic about USC's futures, but you're not Ohio State, Bama, Georgia. You don't get to go out there and be like, I'm going to paint my fingernails. You've earned nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, that's
well,
why.
To be fair,
even those teams
he did
don't
last
do that,
year too. A couple games when he was at Oklahoma too. So it's kind of his personality, and yes, he may end up still winning the Heisman Trophy, but
he's going to win the Heisman this year.
Yeah.
He's a heck of I'm not going to deny he's a heck of a player. As much as a big as Oklahoma fan as I am, you got to call it what you got to call it. He's a generational talent. He's a hell of a quarterback, and yeah, the dude's got ability. No question about it.
But they got to fire Alex Grinch, bro.
Yeah.
Trojan, I don't think this is USC hate in the slightest. I think we're calling facts. You realize that coming from a 4-8 team, he's saying F Utah when he got beat by Utah before it got beat again by Utah. So
hey, I'm going to tell you something right now. There's no USC hate, but you guys are not great. You beat Arizona by a score. You beat California by a score.
Oregon State.
You beat Oregon State by a score. I mean, dude, Caleb Williams, dude,
lost to Utah twice.
Yeah, lost to Utah twice.
Granted,
he got hurt. Did he really get hurt, or was he limping? Does he get that lost limp? Because
injuries are part of the game.
That limp looked exactly like it did on Friday in Bedlam last year. Same limp. Go look it up.
So look, I'll allow the hurt thing, but here's my thing. So was that him not reading too high safety and throwing a blatant interception to a safety that even Helen Keller saw?
To the safety.
Dog, I could have been the safety at fat as F and get that interception, dog. That was horribly.
Trojan,
you know what that game on Friday proved? That game on Friday proved us. Caleb Williams is not a pocket passer.
I've always said this though.
I'm gonna run around and scramble and try to get here and throw it. And guess what, guys? That doesn't work in the NFL, right?
That's why he had 79 yards against Iowa State.
Exactly. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's a great talent, but dude, guess what? He's not a pocket passer. You know what he needs to do next year? You want to know what he needs to do? Work on his pocket passing next year.
He needs to learn how to read a defense.
Now,
100%.
To be
fair,
Mayfield,
guess what? Baker Mayfield didn't know how to read a defense.
Kyler Murray.
What? But Lincoln Riley drew up plays for him to be able to get. But Lincoln Riley drew up plays for him to be able to read a defense or get guys open. And guess where he's at? A long-term backup for the rest of his life.
Dog, I keep saying, is Lincoln a proponent of the system, the quarterbacks?
Because
I've
none
said
of
it
his
over and
defenses
over
can
again.
read a defense, or none of his QBs have been able to read a defense. So
Well,
It's a great system.
Jalen Hurts is the only one. If you would have told me that he was going to be the best one out of those transfers at throwing the football and staying in the pocket,
Hands
I'd have been
down.
like, "You're crazy."
Hands down, I agree, bro.
Yeah.
But even Jalen Hurts, he's also got the best offensive line in football.
He
And
does.
He's also got AJ
But
Brown.
he also makes really good decisions with the football.
And I agree, but Jalen Hurts also played at Alabama for a couple of years too.
Yeah.
But Smash, here's what I'll say. If
Well,
I'm asking who's the better athlete, Kyler is a much better athlete than Bryce Young.
Yeah,
But who is
Well,
a better
it's not even close.
who's
Yeah,
better at picking apart a defense with their arm?
that's not even close.
It's Bryce. Bryce can read a defense.
Oh,
Bryce can read a
Who?
defense.
Bryce
Yeah,
over
Bryce
Kyler
Young?
Murray?
No. I said specifically, who's better at picking apart a defense with their arm? Bryce.
Do we not watch the Alabama-Oklahoma game?
Are we
Kyler
talking about
Murray.
Bryce or Kyler Murray?
No, my specific point is Kyler is the better athlete. But if we are
Yes.
saying if you take away running, who is a better pocket passer? It's Bryce Young.
Yes.
He can read a
I
defense
don't know.
exponentially better.
Are you talking about just college?
We're gonna find
Yeah,
out.
I'm talking college because Bryce
gonna
is only
find
in
out.
college.
We're gonna find out in the
I
NFL.
would
I don't
say
think
Kyler
Bryce-
Murray still has that.
Ty, I'm gonna say this. I don't think Bryce Young is an NFL quarterback, and then you heard it here. You heard it here first.
People said the same thing about Tua.
Yep. People said the same thing about a lot of people.
Well,
Exactly,
Tua,
like-
it's a lot easier when you got Mike
Everybody
McDaniel,
has NFL players on
Jalen
their
Waddle
team.
and Tyreek Hill.
Exact man.
Everybody's got NFL players on their team.
That's
Everybody's got
like,
NFL
that's
players
like
on
saying
their
Tom Brady's not any good because he had Gronkowski and
No,
Aaron
no.
Hernandez
That's not
and all
fair.
those guys and
Tom
Randy
Brady and
Moss. It's the
Tua
same
aren't even-
argument.
Tom Brady and Tua aren't even in the same breath.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying any superstar has somebody great with him, right?
Let's slow down. Let's pump the brakes on Tua. We're only in 10 weeks of the season.
No,
guys.
I'm just saying everybody mocked him and said he wasn't a quarterback.
Well, he wasn't
Well,
last
the
couple of
jury's
years.
still out.
Well,
The
okay,
jury's out.
Zach. This is the debater in me.
I'm trying
we
to
have-
debate
we
it.
have-
The jury is
No,
out
no.
on Tua.
All right,
Oh,
man.
man.
Here, hold on. Let me get my say in. Because as the debater in me, we can't say, hey, the guy had a hip injury that he wasn't able to really play, and now that he's fully healthy, you're saying jury's out on him. I think he's bad because of when he was playing when he wasn't healthy. Now that he's healthy, like we have to have some level of
you're
consistency.
always talking
Bias
about-
out of it.
You're
I
always
don't know
talking
who
about-
Tua
I didn't
is.
say
You're
for no
always
means
talking
I didn't
about
say he
injuries,
was
though.
bad.
But Ty, everyone in the NFL is injured, dude. Everyone. Everyone.
Zach, allow me to finish. He had an injury that is only seen in severe car crashes. They didn't know if he would walk again.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson retired because of this injury. So yes, we have seen it, and it ended one of the greatest players' careers.
But Bo
now-
Jackson also came back and played for professional baseball too after a full hip
But he
replacement.
couldn't. But why couldn't he play football? It's because of the degradation in
Oh,
the hip.
sure.
But
But
guys,
that's what I'm saying. Like injuries happen, and I'm not arguing Tua is an All-Pro quarterback, but pretending that he's not. Like I think that there has to be a middle ground here, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that. He's done some really good things this year, but I want to see him do it consistently now that he's
Yeah,
healthy.
year after
Hey,
year.
Drew, guys,
No,
here's my
no
point.
doubt. no doubt.
Here's
no
the
doubt.
point. Here's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, I'm saying Bryce Young. We'll see what happens in the NFL. Okay,
That's fair.
the jury's still out on Tua. The jury's out on Mac Jones. The jury's out on Justin Fields. The jury's out on Kyler Murray. Still, believe it or not, Drew. I know
Hey,
you
the
don't.
new
want
Call of
to hear
Duty
me
came
say
out.
that.
Give him time, and he'll.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, bro.
The jury is out on a lot of guys, man. So
Yeah.
Because
Well,
here's my take, man.
I can't say Tua is great yet because
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't seen it yet, man. He's also got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two fastest receivers in the game.
No, but I think here's my point, Zach. I think all of that is correct, but when you preface your argument with like focusing all on the negative, you're inherently prefacing your point with a negative outlook and then trying to argue the middle ground. But you can't almost have both of those things. Like your entire focus was on the negative, and when I brought the positive, you're like, oh well, now you're talking. You're right. So like that's why I say there has to be an inherent middle ground that now we're just kind of skipping over. Because
know-
I agree, the jury is out on him.
Yeah.
But when I say specifically reading a defense, here's what I'll give you. Kyler's a better athlete. Kyler's got a better arm in terms of throwing the football farther. But in terms of reading an actual defense, Bill O'Brien said Bryce Young is the third smartest player he's ever coached outside of Tom Brady and Moss.
Sean Watson.
No, it was Moss.
Well, Bill O'Brien's also an idiot, but go ahead. Keep going.
Bryce Young calls all of his own plays, like in terms of audibles and everything. He does all of that. So he is already doing what NFL quarterbacks are starting to do in year 3. That's the only area I'm saying Bryce is super advanced. His high school coach said, and this is the high school at Mater Dei, this guy has 4 Heisman Trophy winners that he's coached. He said Bryce is by far the most advanced quarterback he's ever coached, and they let him call the offense by the time he was a junior to senior. So Kyler's got more ability. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying Bryce is better in only one specific area as a senior in college, and that's reading a defense, being able to see what's in front of him and pick it apart instead of having it schemed.
And we're going to find out if he can read a legitimate defense. He can read the defense now, but can he in the NFL?
Yeah.
When he's
that remains to be seen.
Mastermind defensive coordinators.
He's got no question. He's got all the tools and everything like that. And it's with guys, it's just taking that next step up, whether it's high school to college to the NFL. And that's for everybody, no matter what position you play.
It's the same thing with CJ Stroud, though. The point I try to make is the jury's always going to be out on guys like Caleb Williams and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud until they get to the NFL, because their offenses are set up to make people get open, right? So it's easy. Yeah. It's easy to read defenses when your guys are open half the time, right? And your first progression's wide open, then your second progression's open, or your third progression's there. And you have so many talented guys like Bryce Young with Williams and Mechie and Cameron Latou and Jahmyr Gibbs or Brian Robinson or whatever, and then CJ Stroud with his guys and Caleb Williams with his guys and Baker Mayfield with his guys. He had Mark Andrews and D.D. Westbrook and all these C.D. Lamb and all these talented guys. But when it gets to the NFL and everyone's the same, right, from a skill perspective,
well, you got linebackers that can outrun you.
It's tough. It's tough, So that's my point. My point is, it's not just specifically on Bryce. Like, I'm not picking on Bryce. I'm picking on CJ too. I'm nervous for CJ. I think CJ should stay one more year. But these offenses are designed to get these guys open, and I'm just very interested to see what it looks like in the NFL. That's why you got guys like Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech that. All of a sudden, everyone thought he was going to be a horrible pick, and
I think anybody who said he was going to be a horrible pick I would question their football knowledge.
Yeah, I agree.
I would very seriously.
I don't think anybody and anybody didn't. It was just like the whole Tom Brady thing. Nobody saw just the exact ceiling that both of those guys could have been. Like, nobody could have predicted Tom Brady would have won 7 or 8 Super Bowls and Mahomes had been MVP and won a Super Bowl and done what he did in the NFL. But certainly he had the tools. They both did.
Hey, nobody really knows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Exactly. At the end of the day, we just love debating and talking about it. That's what makes it so fun.
That's why this is so fun.
Exactly. Yeah, it is.
Now, hey guys, I do want to ask you guys a question about quarterback. I know it's Ty's show, but where's DJ going next year? Because he's transferring.
Ooh,
I think he's going to Ohio State. I think he's going to the Buckeyes, but that's my opinion.
Can I, Zach? I want to tell you something, brother. If you're on my show, you feel free to ask whatever question you want. This is your platform, right? Like you talk football. Any question you want, any topic you want, it is free reign. That's the point of this. That's the whole debate. We're just sitting here having a good time. We're just college football fans, almost as if we were all out at lunch right now, right? Yeah. Sitting around a table debating college football. Anything you want, man.
That's going to be an
interesting.
So,
guys, I have the question then. Who wins, 2015 Ohio State or Alabama? I'm just kidding. Next question. Where's DJ going?
Don't tell me about that. Zeke is still running rampant in my imagination. 250 yards and embarrassed us.
He was in the hospital the week we played Michigan State.
I know.
Was he? Snaps.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in the hospital all week, and then he played like 11 snaps or something, or 11 carries.
He was not healthy against Alabama.
When we lost, because they thought we were going to possibly go back to back, because 2014 Alabama was more talented than 2015 Alabama. In my mind, you had Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
You guys had Eddie Jackson still on that team. You guys had some freak athletes, and then we still had Michael Thomas, Von Bell, Marshawn Lattimore, Gary Conley, Malik Hooker, stuff like that.
Nobody beats that 2014 led by Trevor Knight in the Sugar Bowl though against Alabama. So
that one was that hurt. That one hurt.
That was probably one of the games where I was the most pissed off. Like, seriously, I was like, so
going into that game, if you'd have told me that Trevor Knight was going to do what he did, I'd be like, you're insane. You're crazy.
But
no, DJ, to your point, that's going to be interesting because he's pretty much done at Clemson.
You'd have to think.
That kid, dude, he's special. Cade, he's going to be a heck of a player.
I watched
the
him and
body
Quinn in
type he
the
has.
state.
Yeah, and so with DJ, he's gonna have some options, And I know Zach, he said Ohio State, stuff like that. I really don't know. So I'm here to watch it all unfold, because that's the beauty of the transfer portal and NIL and all this other stuff now, is you can sit back and be like, you can speculate and do all you want, but for him, it's really going to be interesting to see where he lands, and it's going to have to be a really good fit for him and his skill set.
I mean, there were rumors that Drake May potentially could transfer to Ohio State, and there was mutual interest. I'm just saying, but DJ, I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's got a ton of talent. I just don't think he's got the right coaching in Clemson for his skill set. I really don't think so.
I think when Tony Elliott left, it was a big blow for him, because Tony recruited him, really got him there, and so when he left, it was kind of tough for him, because new scheme or not new scheme, but new, some coaches, they'll run the same things, but they're different. So that, I think, was a really big piece that a lot of people don't look at, is Tony Elliott leaving Clemson. Yes, Matt, to your point, we have we're really close. I'll just say that.
I feel like, where I feel like he'll end up at for real though? I feel like 2 spots. I feel like Hugh Freeze would snag him for Auburn.
Ooh.
Because that's a skill, you know what I mean? It fits his scheme, man. Like what Hugh Freeze runs, that would be really interesting. That, or if Bo Nix leaves at Oregon.
Oregon would
that
be
Auburn, man, that's a Jonathan. I like that. That'd be interesting for sure. Could he fit at Ole Miss?
Yeah. I believe.
But you got Jackson
I believe
Dart there, man.
Yeah, but Jackson Dart's coming back. So
you need somebody that's going to compete with him, because right now he's got nobody behind him.
Yeah, I think Jackson Dart's the clear starter there, though.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't feel like DJ needs to go somewhere where he knows he's that number. He's the guy that's going to have everybody, you know what I mean, patting him on the back, saying, "Hey, you're the guy."
Hey,
and I feel like Auburn would be that place.
What about Oklahoma State?
Yeah, because Sanders, this is his last year, right?
He's going to enter the portal.
That's a fast. See, DJ, I feel like would struggle in that offense a little bit, only because of all the receivers run X, Y, and Z routes. So that means DJ. I don't know how his football IQ is, but it better be like next level to run an offense like that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. But dude, I really, now that you said Auburn, that would. I mean, they need a quarterback. Yeah. And he'd be the dude. He could be the dude down there.
Yeah, I feel like what's his name, Jaden, solidified his spot at LSU, because he's coming back, right? Isn't he like a sophomore or something?
What about Alabama? Who's playing quarterback for them next year? Do we feel like it's really Jalen Milroe?
No, Ty Simpson.
Simpson, from what I hear, is a dude. Yeah, Milroe may. Do you think he may transfer?
I think it all depends on who we get as offensive coordinator, and it's unfortunate because I think that Milroe is a guy that had the ability, but at the same time, it's just we don't call an offensive system that has allowed him to grow at all.
But he's got some ability.
Told you, Ty, over and over and over again about Jalen Milroe. I keep banging my head on the desk about it, man. The guy's ability to throw the ball, it's hard to watch.
And I just don't think we could do him any favors.
No, that's what I'm saying. So he needs to go somewhere where he can sit down with somebody that will truly develop him, if that's what he wants.
Matt said DJ to OU. That wouldn't make any sense for him, because you got Dylan Gabriel probably coming back next year, and then Jackson Arnold coming in. He wouldn't play.
No, he wouldn't go to. In my opinion, Jackson Arnold's a stud, bro.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, he is so damn good at football.
When I watch him, bro, it just screams winner across the screen. You know what I mean? Like that swag almost like he has.
And
I don't know.
I said it when he committed.
I'm not trying to be biased, but I think he's the best quarterback in this class by far.
I don't look.
Who?
If you say that Jackson Arnold.
Nico is pretty far up there.
What about Malachi Nelson, dude?
Malachi Nelson.
Well, look. Here's the beautiful thing. I think depending on scheme, there's a few different answers you could throw up there, and all of them are correct, right? Like, so if you have a quarterback right now, and you're like, okay, I have a guy right now, and I can develop a dude, I think Nico is tough not to put at number one. If you have a quarterback need right now, and you run a very pro style system, goodness gracious, Jackson Arnold creates nightmares.
Yep.
He is unbelievable. Malachi Nelson, Trojan, I'm going to put him. He is right there, man. This is a great quarterback class. And I was even someone saying,
Arch Manning.
But here's the thing. I think a lot of the Arch hate is a little bit unjustified. Now, I've said this before. I don't think he's the number one quarterback in this class. I've thought for a long time it was Nico, and now I might be leaning a little bit more. I'm juggling between Nico and Jackson Arnold now as my number one. Malachi Nelson is up there as well.
What about Dante Moore? Moore has done nothing but win.
The performance he had yesterday against freaking Southlake, oh my gosh. I went up back and watched a little bit of that game and saw the throws that he made and stuff like that against elite talent. Like, he's not going out there and playing 4A private school ball like some people in Louisiana are.
2A.
Or 2A or whatever it is. But
it's 2A.
And again, back to the point where, when he gets to college, the jury will be out. Because I'm not ready to and yes, he's got a lot of ability and the kid can make every throw right now. But me, specifically as a quarterbacks coach, and everything like that, you have to watch these guys develop. You have to get them into practice. You got to get them in your scheme. You have to see them do it first in practice, and then getting into the speed of the game is a whole different. Yes, granted, he's played big, high-level 6A football in Texas, but when you get to college football, Power 5, it's a different animal. And then the same token as we're talking about some quarterbacks going to the NFL, it's just that maturation and can you take it to the next level?
Yeah, I got Malachi Nelson personally as my number one, guys. That's just me.
So
Dante
here,
Moore's great.
You also
Dante
love Lincoln
Moore's
Riley,
really good.
I hate Lincoln Riley, dude. He's a bum.
So Matt says Arch went to the playoffs the last 2 years and got dominated. Never won a state championship. Don't great players win state championships? Yes, Matt, but also football is a team game, and I can't say one player, especially who's not a. If this is Nico Iamaleava and he's the fastest, most athletic dude on the field, I think you have a different case. Arch is a pocket passer. That's what he does.
But did you see the stats from the game? You can't be throwing 90 yards, dog, and like 2 interceptions.
No. That's not my point. My only point is like we can't just like say he's going to be garbage.
That's not the whole. You're not looking at that as the whole body of work.
Yes, but I also don't think in full confidence I can put him as my number one quarterback. That's why I've always
he's not a 99 rated player.
No. But I do disagree with this. Arch without the last name is a 2 or 3 star. I completely disagree with that because when he did camp at Clemson, they were talking about throws he was making that were jaw dropping in that clip.
I'm not going to sit here and say that he's complete garbage. He's not.
We just don't know.
He's a good quarterback. Yeah,
he's a very good. We just don't know, and the other guys are more battle tested.
Well, and it doesn't hurt to have. It doesn't hurt to have coaches like your uncles and your granddad, coaching you along and watching film and giving you every opportunity to succeed at the next level. That doesn't hurt at all.
That's why he gets the benefit of the doubt from a lot of people.
Yeah,
but I have a few quarterbacks personally that I like.
Jaden Rashada. I mean, this class is so. And of course, Florida Nation right now is going crazy. Oh, he's the best quarterback. Like, man, relax a little bit. But
he's a very good quarterback.
Y'all said the same thing about Anthony Richardson. So
yeah, that is true too. They were high on him, man.
They were loving him.
I understood being high on Anthony Richardson if you were prefacing the conversation with, "Hey, this guy is a project guy. He's real green. He's real underdeveloped." But man, if we develop him, this guy could be a real. If that's your argument, I'm like, hey, cool. I'm 100% down with that. But to say that, hey, this guy is Caleb, he's CJ, he's Bryce now, no, he's not. He's not. No. I say Arch Manning would be a low 4-star if his last name wasn't Manning. I think a 4-star. I think that's reasonable. I do.
Yeah.
how does he do on a good team in Texas high school? It's tough for me to say this with any sort of confidence, Jacob, because while he would be playing against better competition, he would also probably have access to much better players.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's tough to
their
say.
defenses are help your offense out, especially when you got a like Denton Geyer. Let's not be naive to think that it's all the offense. They've got some dudes that are Eke, Peyton Bowen, a few other guys on defense that make Jackson Arnold's job a lot easier to go out and score points.
Brandon Harper, I'm not exactly sure who that is, Matt, but like I said, Arch is a straight up pocket passer, right? And so like if he's not having guys get open, he's not going to just take out on you. That's not his game.
Brandon Harper, to speak on this, he's Noble's a small school that's in Oklahoma, and Harper kid's he's got a lot of talent for sure.
Yeah. Is he a dual threat guy?
Yeah, he can run around a little bit, but he can throw it around too. Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
So,
no doubt.
yeah.
And I hear your argument, Matt. That's why it's tough for me, but Brandon Harper from Nova Hill.
But back to your point though, he did not win a state championship. Brandon Harper didn't. So he didn't play in them at least this year. So
yeah, and we talk about Geyer. I mean, they got Peyton Bowen on that defense as well. It's just an unbelievable.
I hope and pray that we flip him because that's a game changer. If we can get Peyton Bowen in the door, he's a heck of a player.
I think the best two safeties in this class. I love Tony Mitchell, guys. Peyton Bowen and Caleb Downs. They are sensational. I think the top three safeties this year are all great. And I even think if we take it past, you look at like a seatbelt. Right, Makari Vickers. Oh,
Makari Vickers is going to be a good player too.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
he is a beast. But the safety, this recruiting class is wild.
Yeah, a lot of good ones out there.
Zach, for Ohio State, what recruit is on the board that you're just like, that's the guy we need to be all in on?
It was Caleb Downs. Obviously.
I hope we keep him.
Obviously, I know Caleb Downs went to the game last weekend for Ohio State, Michigan, and I think for your sake that kind of helped him out a little bit. But is he going to go to the CFP semifinal game since he's from Georgia? Is he going to go check that game out and see does Ohio State switched up and stuff a little bit? So I mean that's the big one. And then keeping Brandon Ennis is kind of a must have. But you got to remember though, we need edge rushers, and I think even though we're deep edge rusher wise, Damon Wilson's a guy that we got to find a way to get to commit to us. So, very, very great athlete. I think he's a top 2 defensive end.
Yeah.
Top 2, top 3. So we definitely got to find a way to get him in the door, man.
What about Keeley? Isn't Keeley still available? For Alabama or Ohio State, right? That's like the two battling out since he decommitted from Notre Dame.
Yep, Keeley's still available.
I think what will probably happen is they'll win the battle for Wilson. Bama will win the battle for Keeley. But Wilson, man, I don't know how many people here have checked out his tape. Zach, have you checked out his tape?
Who?
Wilson.
Keeley? I have not, man.
Dude.
He's nutty.
First step, dog.
Well, the guy's from Florida, so he's already got that in him.
You are going – oh, my gosh, man, he's so good. He is unbelievable. He's so talented. I've always been surprised he's been a guy that hasn't gotten more play, like in terms of talking. People talk. I've always been blown away. I think he's the most underrated 5-star in the nation. I'll say it right now. I think Wilson is the most underrated 5-star in the nation.
Underrated?
Underrated. Just looking at 5 stars, I think that he's probably the one that doesn't get the credit I think he deserves. Who would you put, Jonathan? Because I think, you probably hit me with a real good answer.
As far as underrated 5 stars?
Yeah, I don't know if those.
I can't take it now because, bro, what was I preaching before he even committed to Oklahoma? I said Jackson Arnold should be a 5-star this entire time.
Well, when he committed to Oklahoma in December 9th, isn't that when he committed?
Last year.
December 9th. I think it was December 9th. I made a video and I said straight out, this guy is going to end up a 5-star. Don't be surprised if he does. It's going to happen. Let's move on. Right. I so completely agree with you there. I do think that's a very good answer. Drew, same question to you, man.
Underrated 5-star, man. That's like an oxymoron.
I know.
It is.
I know. Isn't it? Isn't it?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's a highly recruited guy, but, I don't know if he's underrated or not, but just for us, like for Oklahoma, to continue to get elite defensive guys and to add to this, foundation that Venables is trying to get, flipping Peyton Bowen would be huge, and getting him in the building would be not only that, but for other recruits to maybe follow suit. And I think Matt, he posted Bowen, Akana, Hicks, and Stanford. Stanford is another one that's good. I don't know that we're in as good for Hicks as we were, but I definitely see Akana and Bowen probably going to Oklahoma. Hicks, Stanford, maybe a little more of an outside chance now.
Yeah.
David Hicks, DJ Hicks, if we got him too, holy moly.
What did Jacob ask? Who has the
Derek
who has the
Williams?
higher ceiling? Ooh.
That's always a hard question to
Oh,
answer, though, man. When it comes to ceilings,
both Denton kids.
Both Denton kids, yeah.
Yep. Obviously, Billy went to Denton Ryan, and Peyton's at Denton Geyer. But right, I mean, Billy's also had some injuries. He had that knee going on, stuff like that. But that interception that he made at Bedlam, being able to go from the opposite hash all the way over to the sideline to pick that off in anticipation. He's got the skill set. We saw him return a couple punts, but I mean, again, Peyton's not even on campus, but very similar to each other as far as high school and what they did in high school. But I mean, if you're asking me, Peyton Bowen has probably got the most upside out of both of those two coming out of high school. But he's just electric. He can do so many things. He could probably play offense if he really wanted to. And but I would probably say Bowen would have the higher ceiling as of right now.
Hey, I want to touch on something that
absolutely, man, absolutely.
That Dane Trojan actually just brought up that I found very interesting. He says, "Hope USC keeps Mateo Ungalele away from Ohio State." I think the key factor is. And Mateo is DJ is going to be involved in a lot of that. I think DJ is going to want to play with his brother. So I think Ohio State's going to have to pitch to DJ that he does have an opportunity to come play quarterback at Ohio State for his brother to come, because USC can't make that same pitch.
Nope.
Because they got Caleb Williams, they got Malachi Nelson. So is there another team in the mix that can make a play for DJ that is also asking
like a package deal,
his brother's services as well? So let's look at a package deal. What teams can offer Mateo and DJ kind of a package deal right now? And I think there's very few teams that can. And, Penn State surely can't. They got Drew Aller coming back. I mean, could it be Auburn? That could change the game for Auburn a little bit if they can make that package deal.
That'd be a good start for Hugh.
Could Alabama? I mean, I'm not saying they would want DJ, but could Alabama potentially talk to DJ about some of his services? UCLA is a good one as well.
Yep.
That's an interesting one.
That's a very interesting one.
Kelly is good offense.
Yeah, I mean,
they need some good defensive players too. Yep.
Think about it, guys. I mean, could A&M try to
I think
say, hey, can I get you guys to have a package deal too?
I don't know. He Jimbo is trying to
I think he's got to stick with Weigman.
Weigman is his guy right now, And as well as I do how stubborn Jimbo is with his offense and his quarterbacks. I don't think he moves from Connor Wiseman right now.
Yeah,
I'll give you a true answer. The underrated 5-star, and I know it's not a popular one because he's an offensive lineman. Caden Proctor, man.
Well, I love it. I love that.
Like, when I really think about it, Caden Proctor is the guy I advocated for Alabama big time. I said if I wanted somebody in this class, because I wasn't aware of how good Caleb Downs was at the time, but Caden Proctor.
Yeah, you know what I think about Caleb Downs. I think he is unbelievable. Like, if you asked me, right, the same question I asked you, Zach, the prospect that like you've got to keep, for me, it's Caleb Downs.
No, yeah. 100%.
So if you could put that call into your staff and be like, hey guys, maybe another time we'll flip a prospect, just not this one, I would really appreciate it, because that's the guy that Bama has got to keep a hold of, in my opinion.
Well, because Caleb Downs reminds you a lot like a Minka Fitzpatrick, or Eddie Jackson. Like, those are elite guys that make up the whole back end of the defense and make the front end and it's good. Those are the communicators, and that's something Alabama's been missing for the last 2 years. I get Jordan Battle's a great kid, but Jordan Battle's not that. He's
not a dog.
He'll come down and make tackles. But he's not that kind of guy that you get scared of throwing at in coverage. No. Where Minka Fitzpatrick was, Eddie Jackson was. You don't want to throw to those guys.
There's no fear established in this defense right now at Alabama.
I had to look up at you, Drew, to see what your reaction would be. And the second I saw you chuckling, I was like, oh, he's trolling.
What are you laughing about?
Oh, my gosh. Joel Klatt, OC for Colorado.
It just came to me. And
here's the deal. His salary would be less as the OC than it would be him at Fox.
You're right on that.
Hey, I had a great prediction yesterday. I thought the purple team would win in the Big 12 championship, and I was right. So,
Yeah,
you're right. You know what? No, I think I'm going to one up your prediction. Ready for this? I'm going to predict the Orange Bowl. The orange team will win.
In the Orange Bowl?
Yeah. Clemson and Tennessee. Man. I think it's going to be the orange team.
Yeah.
We could.
Which orange is the best color,
I got to say,
That's going to be an interesting matchup.
That's going to be a great matchup.
Clemson's defense against their offense. That's going to be a fun one to watch. A lot of points could be scored there, especially with the youngster having a really he could with Cade this could be a really breakout game for him.
Well, Hendon Hooker's not going to be playing, so I feel like Milton's a capable guy.
He is,
but it's nowhere near.
Well, you still have Hyatt, so it's not. Well, is he a?
Hyatt may not play.
That's what I was going to say. He's eligible, right? Bowl eligible.
He's eligible. He said
draft eligible.
Yeah, he said he doesn't know.
He may not play then.
I don't think Tillman will play either.
Maybe Clemson's. Well, they've also got guys on defense that, probably Brian Breesy and some of those guys not playing either. So it may just be a young freshman, scout team versus scout team.
I guarantee you Bryce Young and Will Anderson's not playing for Alabama.
No. I could easily see Bryce not playing because of that shoulder injury. And man, if you have a shoulder injury on your throwing shoulder, even if it's not the throwing shoulder, you're a quarterback, man. You've put in your dues. You have a shoulder injury. Go ahead. Go on ahead. And I wouldn't be mad if Will Anderson didn't either. You got major money on the other side of this. Life-changing.
He already said he doesn't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't see those two.
No.
Unless they were waiting for today to see if they had any shot of, getting in the playoffs. And now I think they're,
Ever since that Notre Dame linebacker came back and played in that bowl game, Jalen Smith, and eviscerated his knee.
Oh my gosh, that was wicked.
I get it, guys. I'm with y'all. Whenever we're like, hey, you started it, you should finish with your team. In a perfect world, I hear you, but we got to also acknowledge there's a life-changing opportunity on the other side of this.
On the line that none of us will ever see.
Exactly, and we have to acknowledge and respect that because we saw one of the best players. And remember, they were talking about he and Reuben Foster. Sad story. Not sad in terms of injury, just sad to see what he did to his own career, right?
Exactly.
We get very forthright here. Both of those guys were being talked about as transcendent talents entering the NFL, and then Jalen Smith rips apart that knee. And he lost $30 million?
Oh, yeah. A lot of
slightly
money.
North of that, but they said it was 30 in the 30, almost $40 million range.
Signing bonus and guaranteed money was,
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Would Bryce be playing in a 12-team format? Probably.
Yeah.
You're
of course. To win a national championship. Yeah, you're playing.
National championship's a little bit different than. Yeah. And I know it doesn't seem like it is, but you talk to these guys, it is. It is.
Yep.
That's why I need to hurry up and get here.
Why Cheetah? Well, boys, we're winding this stream down. Kind of want to get everybody. Last topics, last thoughts on the week of football we had, the college football unveiling, just your general thoughts on college football. Zach, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking, man?
I'm just excited we have another shot in Columbus, man. So Ohio State's excited we got another shot, but I'm still sticking to my guns, man. I got Georgia winning it all, but I'm definitely excited to watch some of these bowl games. They're less meaningful now that they really don't matter as much due to the playoff format. But also with a lot of these guys, declaring for the draft. But man, just very excited, and for Ryan Day, man, we're gonna find out. if a month of preparation is going to help the guy at all. And is he going to be aggressive play caller this time, or is he going to be conservative like he did was against Michigan and get his tail kicked again? So those are my final thoughts on that. And it's going to be fun, man.
Jonathan, what are you thinking, man?
The committee got it right. The top 4 teams got in my opinion. Even with TCU losing, I thought they still deserved because of the 5 top 25 wins. Other than that, like it was already said in the comments, actually it's up right now, portal day. So underclassmen portal can jump in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow is going to be an extremely fun day. So yeah.
Drew, what are you thinking, man?
I'm basically on repeat with what Jonathan said. One, committee got it right. I think that's the right 4 teams in there. It'll be interesting to see, especially with Ohio State back in the mix. That were my pick at the beginning of the year to win the national championship. I think they pose a threat to Georgia, and they want to get back and have that rematch. Wouldn't that be something, a rematch of the big game in the national championship this year?
Unbelievable.
And then tomorrow,
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, the recruiting and portal stuff gears up officially. So tomorrow, Twitter may blow up completely. It's gonna be insane. But hey, as college football fans, we love it, and it gives us more to talk about. So, Ty, always appreciate you and everything you bring and for your show. And it's always fun to jump on here and talk with guys that love college football. So anytime, I'm always game.
Yeah, Drew, Zach, I told y'all before, I love that y'all will debate me. Like I'm a debater, so the debating is fun. I love sport debate. It is, I mean, if I could do a sport debate show, I'd probably create a sport debate show. I think that'd be a ton of fun. Matt asks if we're going live tomorrow. Matt, I'm planning on going live 5:30 Central Standard Time. The question is, Zach, would you want to join us tomorrow? I would love to have you back if you're available.
Yeah, I mean, I should be good. I should be good for tomorrow.
Love that, man. Really looking forward to it. Really enjoy it. Guys, Zach, you need to do Ohio State content on YouTube, man. You really do. You really do.
We will, man, at some point. It'll be good.
Yep.
Yes.
We're actually doing. Yes, he is.
Yes.
100%. That may be a shirt for you. We're gonna get Ty a shirt, something. It's one of these days.
That's hilarious.
But we are doing a live stream tonight, the Under Official Review podcast. We'll talk about some stuff. We'll break down the matchups, and as more bowl games come out, obviously transfer portal stuff tomorrow officially opening. But we'll be doing something this evening or maybe tomorrow. I don't know, but we're going to try to pop on and do me and Zach, and may have a guest or two tonight with us, the Under Official Review podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Now, one more time. What was that? The Under Official podcast, and where can you find all of that?
The Under Official Review podcast, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, we do live streams come a couple of times a week. So, and we always, Ty's always on. We're always on with him. PG, we've got, Jay, all these guys talking. We'll get Jonathan on here one of these days. But, yeah, it's just fun to talk college football.
Drew, you in for tomorrow at 5:30?
I think I can do that.
Jonathan, I would love to have you, but I know your schedule is
I
wild.
start my job at ST Engineering tomorrow, man. I don't get off to 6.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you. Finally done with college. I grew up, guys.
Where do you live, man?
I live in San Antonio.
Okay, cool.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll just be here at 5:30. I don't have any great news.
Now if I get off early, because all I'm doing tomorrow is orientation. You know how that crap goes. You know what I mean? HR stuff. So
it could be shorter than what you think or longer than what you think.
Exactly.
Really
so I don't know how it's going to go.
See, I'm the disappointment of the family, so I don't know what that growing up phase is like.
Hey, I'm 37, bro. It's never too late. That's all I'm going to say. And the only reason I did it is because I was in the Air Force and loaded bombs and missiles on planes. That doesn't translate.
You had a really good excuse then.
Like
I don't know what the heck the rest of us were doing, but
I was about to say I can't even. That doesn't make me feel better. I wasn't in the air.
No. What I'm saying is though is you can always go to school. You know what I mean? Like or do what you want to do. Because I went, to school to do something I actually wanted to do. Yeah. So that's what a lot of people.
Well, that's what I'm figuring out now. Obviously, I coach and everything like that, and I'll be 37 here in a couple weeks actually. But just started getting into the radio business with the sports animal here in Tulsa. I got to do the color commentary for all the state championship games this last weekend here it's fun. And so it's just one of those things that kind of just a door opened. And obviously with podcasting and stuff like that, I just love talking sports. And anytime I get a platform to do it, hey, you're never too young or never too old to jump in and do it. So that's awesome, dude. So I love it. Love it.
Guys, this has been a great time. Absolutely great time. Jacob says, once again, congrats. He says he'll be listening as you drive tomorrow. Really excited to have y'all tomorrow. I'm excited. The portal is going to be crazy.
Oh.
Can't wait to see y'all there. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your time with your family, and we'll see you tomorrow. That's it.
See you guys.
See ya. Oh, he says do a show with Travis. Jacob, I'll hit up Travis and see if I can't get him on tomorrow. I've done some shows with him.